meet dark entities. We've been hitting every planet out there and a lot of the moons with these things and rekeying the planet's frequency. And I even did the sun. So it's like, for these dark entities and the dark loose-eating ETs, it's like the worst grade of fingernails across the classroom blackboard inside their skull, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm driving nuts. They get a little assistance. The other fun tool I have is the ability to go real live time right here and pretty much go around anywhere. What planet you want to go look at? This is Earth, real time. And I can see ships and things that are currently parked in orbit or in the air. They light up nicely.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even if they're stealth. So I still get to see them. And there's a ship like that. What recently was going on off the coast of New Zealand, all those quakes, there was a ship parked down there. Yeah, it's still there too, isn't it? Yeah.
And we had one right above us too.
Several of them there now. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're the ones that are basically shooting energy into the fault line to cause those quakes. They're pissed. And they're going to play every stupid game they possibly can before they go.
Wow. So, folks, there you can see. I see them too. Yeah, I can see those in the yeah, right there. Ships, and they look tiny from here, but they're obviously huge.
No, big. Pretty big.
Interesting.
And they're over the oceans.
What
and
about
they're beaming energy down into the fault line?
And so they're causing earthquakes. Now, some people are blaming the fracking. So the fracking, I guess, could be a part of it.
No,
that's not all of it.
What the fracking was to poison the water, and so that when they had the blast that they engineered, they could cause a lot of landmass to slide out, like down into the Gulf and whatnot. And they wanted to flood Death Valley and bring the ocean in there, and all kinds of really nasty ass stuff they had planned, like the Gulf. The Gulf is the biggest man-made non-nuclear weapon ever conceived. Back in the 1980s, most people don't remember the setup for that bomb. That accidental on purpose oil well drilled thing that went through Lake Pontchartrain and down into a salt mine. Anybody remember that?
I do.
When the whole river reversed the flow and everything, they had 15,000-foot falls down to the hole that sucked all kinds of big ships and everything down in there.
Jeez. So
that was set up to get all the salt out of the salt mines. You got to understand, the Gulf is originally a giant caldera. Those salt mines were originally the steam vents for the caldera until that asteroid, which is a bit of debris from Tiamat being blown up, came and smacked into us. It closed the caldera up, tilted the whole plate, flash melted all the ice caps and everything. That came down over land, took all the trees, debris, animals, life, everything, washed it into the hole, plugged it up. The steam vents, when you flash boil the water, all that salt went somewhere. It all went down in those steam vents. That's why we have the salt caverns.
Uh-huh. And so do they, I guess, a lot of questions. What's their interest with Earth? Because there's so many planets out there, and some that I imagine are not occupied that they could go and get stuff from. So what do they want with ours? Is it us that they're actually interested in, or?
In the long run, yes, but yeah, they've been raping this planet for a while of a lot of different things. Bear in mind, the Anunnaki, for one group, they were playing with gate technology and their own level of creation, connected to a black hole in the middle of their trinary system there. I'll explain that in a minute. To the black hole that's down below the size of an atom, and squeeze themselves out on their little lab planetoid. And as far as they won't admit to it, but even humans and talking to the other ETs have pretty much said, yeah, their home, not just their home planet, but their home system is just had to have been destroyed in that event. Now, Earth, Sirius, Sol, our sun, Sirius, which is another sun, and so is Procyon. We all have a brown dwarf. Procyon's here, Sirius is here, we're here. There's there's a small black hole right here, where my hand is rolling. Our second suns go out, they do a loop around it and come back. Ours goes out, loop around, so does Procyon's. It happens every 12,000 years. We travel as a group. The Anunnaki came out of that hole and followed our brown dwarf in here. They raped us of monatomic gold out of our ocean because they were in really piss poor health when they got here. So they used that to heal themselves. And then they wanted humans to mine gold to build a reversed Dyson sphere around their planetoid to hold the heat in. And because our brown dwarf is only a microwave source, that would solve the whole issue of them being able to survive on it. Now, here's the thing. I'll show you what their Dyson sphere actually looks like.
Okay.
I've got it. This is from the ground, from Earth. Right there.
Hey, folks, I'll get to your questions. Just keep piling them up, and I'll get to them when we get to them. All right. So be patient.
And I've got an orbital look at it just right here.
That's what's in front of the Vatican and other places. You'll see it.
That's the Anunnaki Dyson sphere. Now here's the thing: they lie like as bad as Satan does. Satan is Saturn, in case you folks don't realize. They call this Dyson sphere Nibiru as well, and claim to be our creators.
Are they?
Okay, no. But the New World Order group is in really deep in bed with them. That's why you see these all around the planet. They're representations of the Anunnaki's Dyson sphere.
I'll be damned. Look at that. Yeah.
The entire Illuminati group.
Okay. Let me know when you're coming back on camera.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I don't mind. Do you want to be on it? It is. But you're going to be on the video.
The Illuminati group are hybrid human Anunnaki.
It's okay. Just let me know when you want to come in.
So they don't really care about humans at all. They just want to run the planet.
So they just want to be gods, basically.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So now you see the definition between what is out there. There's several groups in play here, and they all have their own agenda. And none of these are really anything that NASA puts out. The more junk NASA puts out, and the more fear they create, the more loosh can be harvested from humanity. And these folks here are the ones that eat the loosh. That's the Archons.
Those are the Archons. Now, I've talked to a few guests about those Archons, and I never get good reports on them.
No. Their whole society is completely under the influence of the plasma AI. These folks are the purveyors. They've got some other creature that lives inside their chest that they can actually spit up and put in someone else, that are the producers of the black goo.
Really? Producers of the black goo. Now, I've heard about the black goo, too.
These folks are the ones that delivered the craft. They pulled it from their museum, the oldest hunk of junk they had, and that is the craft that crashed at Roswell. And that whole purpose of that was to deliver the Intel chip, a binary chip, by the way, which would easily get us set up to be under the control of plasma AI. It's binary.
So there must be factions on this planet who are working with some of these bad ETs, like this Archon here.
Well, yeah, Dracos. This is one of your worker cast Dracos. This is what he looks like when he's wearing his MIB human suit.
Oh.
In fact, until we dropped the crystal,
Looks like a
White
water
House.
rise.
until we dropped the crystal on the White House, it was actually a Draco wearing, a tall white wearing an MIB Obama suit that was in there. But since I did that, they actually had to bring the actual Obama back, which is kind of hilarious. There's like 7 of them out there, between the real ones, the clones, and the MIB suited ETs. These are the tall whites, and they eat humans as food, like we eat cattle.
Now, I've heard that the tall whites sometimes could disguise themselves and be amongst us. How do they hide those heads?
It's a digital overlay. You can't see it, and that's the problem with our frequency going up now. Their stealth and their holographic technology doesn't work as well anymore. So it's failing. Now, all the presidents that have been in the White House, they've all had another race here. These, I call them the minders. They take their orders from the Dracos and the tall whites and keep tabs on the presidents. I've got pictures of them with pretty much every president.
And I guess the presidents who maybe don't listen to them, what happens?
Well, they do. You got to understand, every president that's been in the White House up to date, except for now Trump, is a direct bloodline descendant of Queen Elizabeth, the Tudor group. Literally related directly to her.
Even Obama?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You go back 4 generations, go sideways through a marriage, come forward 3, you've got Obama.
All the presidents basically were, and this is where it really ties into what I'm doing and what my proclamations are, because we are actually going for arrest warrants for all of the monarchy, all the Tudor group, Queen Elizabeth, and all of her.
Us light workers got Trump putting on us.
Well, I thank you light workers, that's for sure.
Because as soon as Obama's out, we've got arrest warrants for him as well. Here's the key thing. The Stardust, the first of the Tudor group signed a treaty with the 13th Klan mother back in 640 BCE to do their own thing for a while. But here's the thing. They weren't supposed to interfere with anybody else, much less go around killing off tribes and taking other people's property and all of that. Here's the Stardust. So they violated every tenet of that treaty. Not that it matters. Karen served them papers on August 8th, 2013, and Queen Elizabeth panicked and bolted and ran for the Denver Dome. Not that it matters, because she's been convicted of mass murder, and she's a fugitive from justice from the world court currently. She ran in between being found guilty and being sentenced. She's got clones over there that are actually doing her daily stuff, and the world court knows it, which is why they don't go and arrest them, because they're not the ones that are guilty. She's been camped out at the Denver Dome. She's got her own palace out there.
Do you worry about anything happening to you guys for presenting this information? I mean,
no, I have a whole line of reasons why they won't do anything to me, as much as they would love to.
And it's not through lack of, different people trying. I mean, through the years, make up things or whatever. I went probably 200 ways what not to say to, different people's in the courts. But, I've been put into prison, because of what we were doing and standing up for. But now it's to the point where judges will actually bow before me in the courts. What I just sent to you is actually the peace flag that is recognized internationally and by the military. And so that star disc, as Patty presented it to you, is actually, as you can see, alignment and constellation alignment, but that goes back.
Yeah, I did the work up on that when it ended. The whole contract ended in September 22nd, 2013. So even as of then, corporations and their rule over anything was gone. Okay, now we fought over this, and although Queen Elizabeth did run, here's what it came down to in a nutshell. If they could get 64% of the vote, 65% of the vote rather, to keep their system in play, then we couldn't kick them out. Well, guess what? They just lost. They didn't get 65% of the vote. They're out on ground, but not just here. With Brexit, that means every place the British Empire has ever went and seized, they're out. All of them.
I see. And I think France and Germany are up for.
Yep. Well, after I did a crystal working over Paris, the next morning, all in the millions, Paris's public got up and tossed their government out. They just said they won't let that get on the news. But that shit's already gone down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good, good. So, what about our moon, Mars? How are those two utilized around? Because I've seen some pretty interesting videos where it looks like ships leaving the moon.
Our moon's an artifact. Okay, it's not even originally the moon of Earth, but then again, Earth wasn't originally here either. Saturn is the original sun. So, is there some truth in the Bible that Satan was kicked out of heaven? Yeah, he was the original son, and when the Elven on Eden, which was one of the original planet here, weren't developing towards ascension, even though they were happy they didn't want to ascend any higher or do anything different. Eve asked for a higher frequency sun to try and kick in the ass the development of the Elven. And Gaia had already gone out and looked around the Milky Way and found the sun we have and this planet that we're standing on in a core world system. So Eve asked for the sun first, Adam towed it out here and started up, which pissed off Saturn, because eventually, for a while there was two suns, and then Saturn got his ass shut down and kicked to the curb. He's been pissed off ever since. And interfering with works on here in Eden ever since.
Kind of reminds me of George Soros and
yeah, pretty much. They behave much alike. So Gaia got bored watching her mother's kids, the Elven, develop. Her mother gave her an island on Eden. Eden looks a lot like Earth, but it's not an exact duplicate. I got a manifest Eden too. And everybody will remember every historical group in every nation of every nationality on Earth remembers this island. Okay, that's Avalon.
Yeah.
That's the island on Eden where Eve built her kids. Us. That's where we were genetically assembled. Once Earth was brought out here, because Gaia is not a registered student like Eve is, Gaia helped raise for other gods and goddesses out there in the Milky Way 15 other races here on Earth first.
15 other races. Now, what happened to those?
Their whole span to ascending to the 5th level energy density and graduating back out into space.
I see. So, I mean,
way older than people think. And yeah, there's tons and tons of stuff, including underground cities on Earth and everything else. But they've been here a long, long time.
Yeah, and so then there would be structures on both the moon and Mars too. I've had friends who have shown me what looks like pyramids and things like that. So do these structures exist?
Yeah. Actually, there's a lot of what was once glassed over cities and everything on the moon. But like I said, our moon was one of the two moons that were around Tiamat before it got destroyed. The other moon that was around Tiamat is now way out near beyond Pluto's orbit. It's called Makemake. I guess it was partially named after Marduk. Anyhow, 12 of the 15 races that she helped raise here provided the seed stock for the male side of the creation of human race. Of course, she tweaked all of them to 48 chromosome, triple spiral, and did her own stuff to it. On the female side, she used her own DNA, and the DNA, which was in the soil of this planet, the mortal remains of a bunch of the ancients without asking them for permission. That's the 65-foot tall, folks.
65 feet tall?
Yeah. And that's the ECF.
I won't be
This
climbing
was
up
on display in Spain for a couple of weeks before the New World Order came out and saw that. Said, what the hell do you think you're doing? You can't do this. You can't show this to the public. and pops the thing up and burned it.
No kidding. So that's a real skeleton.
That's a real phenomenon. There's been many more found. Yeah. Matter of fact, they found them. The Anunnaki are nowhere near as big. They're big, but they're not that big.
You've been talking about all the different ones in the stasis chambers and stuff too lately.
The ones in the stasis chamber, like there was one in Chicago, and they find them all around. The big red-headed giants. They're like groups of 6 in chambers under the ground, and in stasis that are beginning to wake up. Those are the remains of the people from Tiamat. That's the folks who the Jehovah's Witnesses and all that hold as a god.
Really?
There are no human religions at all. None.
Well, yeah, I assume that a lot of this stuff was put here to better control and brainwash us, the species. But
Anunnaki brought politics and slavery, because the Anunnaki are nothing but a bunch of slavers.
are they returning? Are they coming back? Or
We told them no, and any that show up, we promptly destroy them.
so then NASA knows that these different factions are out there in space, right?
Here's the problem. The U.S. Navy controls the Secret Space Force, and NASA's a cover for the Secret Space Force. So these folks are actually not working on the side of humanity at all. So when they get in the way, we kill them too.
I see. There was a guy who hacked into NASA's computers, and that's what he said, that he'd seen documentation that there was the Navy had a security fleet in space. And, people have always, nah, it can't be. Well, I think so.
We got these are the biological hulls. These can go completely invisible and skip dimensionally and time-wise. The orbital fighters, here's the prototype. It was built by Boeing. It's called the Bird of Prey.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the production model. I've actually got a bunch of these being filmed being shot out of space too, come burning in. So the Navy's edition, they got a bigger stealth job, and that's this one. They claim this was for a movie, but guess what? It's not. And again, I've got pictures of this thing being shot out of space too.
I see. So then if we were to look live into space, would we see these, battles in action? I mean, can we see this stuff going on?
Sometimes, yeah. I'll show you a thing of a kick. Right now, it's more of an exodus going on. So, there's there's a bird of prey being shot out of space.
Look at that. And of course,
here's one of the Navy stealth jobbers. This one actually made mainstream media. Coming in cooked.
Look at that. Yeah,
these are the TR-3. This is the first edition, the TR-3 Astra. This is what we used to actually land for the first time physically. Let's not count virtual reality type jump gate stuff, which was, predated that. But this is the first time we actually flew out there physically and filmed it, because I got the video film from inside this thing when it did it back in 1947 and made the first landing on Mars.
I was going to say, and that's what
us. And we weren't the first humans there. The Nazis beat us there, and prior to that, when the Anunnakis were ruling over Egypt, they took Martians, Lemurians, humans, and everything, went to Mars and raped it for anything that was valuable, and beat the crap out of the Martians. At that point in time, after that event went down, the Greys got involved with the Martians, and now there's actually 3 genetic lines of Martians. There's the original, the really timid ones, which are now crossbred with humans and Lemurians, and a third group, which is the actual ruling group of Mars, that are half Greys. And that's just the ones that actually kind of sort of belong on Mars. There's like 7 or more groups of ETs out there. A bunch of them are so-called archaeology type things, but they like to play with humans and screw with your mind, so you're not really seeing what you're seeing, and play with you like you're a toy.
So the Greys are what? I've had some tell me that they're
nine different kinds of Greys.
Oh, go ahead. Hell of an assembly.
Of the 9, 2 of them are reptoid type, and that's not even counting the androids that they make out at Pine Gap. They are biological robots that look like the little Greys. They're the ones that are made by the New World Order group.
And so we've got these different races of ETs who are out there. NASA knows about them being out there. And
40 races dug in long term on Earth. We've met 215 races here on Earth, and another 300 and something out in space.
so then who is keeping it secret? Is it the government's telling the ETs that they can't let us know, or is it the ETs telling the governments, or is it both?
It's the governments, the so-called governments. But bear in mind, the so-called governments are all half-breeds.
I was going to
The
say,
leaders of the government, they're all half-breeds. They don't want coming out the fact that they gave permission and made deals with ETs for exchange of technology, and what we were giving up in exchange, they were giving them permission to grab humans and use them as lab rats, and some as big job lots of as like 1,000 have just been scooped up and taken to other worlds to be used as lab rats. There's all kinds of stuff like that going on.
so that's where all those missing people could be.
There's more than 100,000 bodies down in the bottom level of Dulce. Their soul uplinks have been removed and put in little storage boxes, and they're frozen, waiting to be food.
Now, if I was an ET race and I was at war with the people at Earth here, or whoever on Earth, I would think if I wanted to win, then what I would do is I would show myself. When the people panicked, I'd make my move. No? They're not allowed to do it?
What would you gain?
Well, I don't know. What are they trying to gain?
If they make themselves public, they know humanity is a real hot-headed, panicky group who, if they find they have a common enemy, will band together and eradicate it with extreme prejudice. And the Anunnaki made us that way, so it's their own damn fault.
Right?
They're doing it the slow way, by poisoning us, and the radioactive content breaks DNA and all that. Because right now, when you go outside and walk around, only 30% are human. That means 2 out of every 3 people, statistically, that you come across out there isn't a human.
Now, I'm not even being funny then. We could probably assume that a lot of these people who are out there crying for the last week, I'm being seriously honest here. I do.
A lot of them aren't human, and the ones that are major league programmed.
That
They implant in them, and they're well programmed. That's the demographics right there. It's that.
So we look at the majority of the people out there, they're not human. Whether we got them from different alien races. And again, we start talking about tribal, we're also talking about RH factor, as in RH positive being tribal. You've got a lot of things being clones, artificial intelligences there, Anunnaki. I mean, it's huge. If you just think about, the area you're in or the city that you're in, 3/4 of those people are not, and so we've got other things happening too. Let's say with people that have been intercoursing. I mean, it's a strange kind of practice I have as a health, practitioner, but there's lots of women that find out that they've been sleeping with people or with telegamy and find out that they're not human, or they've lost their shape, or they've been implanted, or what people have been sleeping with is passed down genetically. I mean, every time you intercourse, you're downloading information in genetics. This puts a whole thing. Everything's sexually transmitted.
The female species, anytime she has intercourse with a male, does a partial uptake of his DNA permanently into her.
Oh man, kind of like a, not being funny here, but like a thumb drive. I mean,
kind of, sort of. It actually contributes to her mitochondrial DNA, and the female species, the reason why she has mitochondrial DNA is if she was restored to full functionality. Mitochondrial DNA gives her the chance to modify any offspring to fit modified living conditions and environmental factors on the fly in the womb.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's hold it right there for just a minute, for about 3 minutes. We're going to take a break, and then we will come back. And during the breaks, I don't have you on camera, so whatever you got to do, you can go ahead and do it, folks. We're going to take your questions and your calls in just a few minutes. Let me get this off. Okay, there we go. We're going to take your questions. A lot of questions have been sent in. I will get to those questions. These are two fantastic guests, and I'm telling you, I'm listening. I'm learning with the rest of you. I've got Pattie Brassard and Karen MacDonald with me. Their YouTube is projectincension, and so you can find them there. They've also got Facebook links and all kinds of links that I am going to add into the archive. When this show's over tonight, I will go over on YouTube and on our website, latenightinthemidlands.com, and I'll put all the links in so you can get everywhere you want to go afterwards. So, folks, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, we will talk more. I'll get to your questions, and we'll talk more about maybe what dangers are lurking out there. Maybe we could see some live action and in space. And listen, if you're on Skype and you're trying to send me any kind of messages on Skype, because I'm bringing in this feed from my guest to show you, I can't really go and goof around on Skype with you right now. But if you want to get questions to me, you can do it on our website, latenightinthemidlands.com. You could do it in the YouTube chat room. I've got moderators who will get the questions and pass them to me. Unfortunately, folks, I'm doing a live show. I can't really keep up chatting with you, but I'll do my best, all right? This is Late Night in the Midlands. I'm Michael Vera. We're going to go on break here, and then we're coming back. Don't go away. This thing's just getting really, really good. We'll be back.
Brad Olson is an award-winning author and researcher and has spent multiple years proving his works. His books have reached a wide audience across the country and around the world and have won numerous awards. He has appeared on dozens of television and nationally syndicated radio shows over the course of 2 decades. His book, Future Esoteric, goes behind the official story, revealing there is also an alternative narrative. The newly revised second edition includes more images, captions, and information than ever before. Future Esoteric examines the metaphysical nature of reality and the storyline of what is not being told to the mass majority of people. You can find his books at cccpublishing.com or click on one of his many banners on the L&M Radio Network site at lnmradionetwork.com.
Hello, this is Dick Farrell, here to tell you about OxySilver, legally available only through CureShop.com and HealthyWorldStore.com. Don't be fooled buying silver products from copycats and criminals. So help save lives, putting drug lords and criminals out of business, and keep the LNM network broadcasting. Register for our free cooperative at HealthyWorldAffiliates.com/4948 and buy OxySilver and other great products in package specials at great discounts from theCureShop.com. Buy OxySilver, GI Flora Pro, Green Harvest, Seal Love, and Love Minerals at great discounts at CureShop.com. That's CureShop.com with 2 P's. CureShoppe.com. Or call toll free at 1-888-621-7611. That's 1-888-621-7611. Do it now.
The L&M Radio Network offers a moderated chat room at www.latenightinthe.midlands.com. Just click the chat and listen page from the drop-down menu at the top of any page on the website, or click the Listen Live button at the top of the homepage at www.latenightinthe.midlands.com.
When you need a reliable source for your toner, where do you turn? Laser Technologies International Incorporated, your source for quality laser printer, copier, and fax toner. We supply a frustration-free cartridge guaranteed not to harm your printer, delivering 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. We have products for most major brands. Find us on the web at www.laser-technologies.com. Email us at service@laser-technologies.com. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, 561-792-9600. Providing excellent customer service since 1995.
Why subscribe to Late Night in the Midlands, you ask? Well, I'll tell you why. Late Night in the Midlands covers everything, and through the thousands of expert guests who have joined Michael Vera on his show, come pieces of the big puzzle, which started many years ago. Michael and his guests reveal information dating back to the beginning of time. To this very moment, Michael Vera not only brings you the best guests with the best information, but Michael is not afraid to call out those who are less than honest. You see, in this day and age, we need a radio show we can count on and a radio host we can trust to expose the truth one show at a time. So become a late nighter and subscribe now. Talk radio like no other. Late Night in the Midlands, bringing the truth back to talk radio.
Attention L&M Radio Network listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the L&M Radio Network calling 605-562-4203. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 605-562-4203 to listen to the L&M Radio Network on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
On the east coast of the United States, from the capital city, Columbia, South Carolina. You're listening to Late Night in the Midlands with your host, Michael Vera. To talk to Michael Vera, dial 803-392-4566. Or around the world on Skype. Just use Skype ID LNM Radio.
All right, we are back. This is Late Night in the Midlands. I'm Michael Vera. I have Ben Davis is with us too, believe it or not. He's being quiet in the background, but he's here. We've got Pattie Brassard. We've got Karen McDonald, and well, you've got yours truly. I'm Michael Vera. This is Late Night in the Midlands. We're over on the LNM Radio Network, and I want to give a shout out really quick to our radio affiliate. It's High Point Radio, the top of New Jersey. They bring us into New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. They do it on 1620 AM and 100.5 FM. Then we've got WAFR 87.5, Wareham, Massachusetts. They bring us in live Monday through Friday. And internet affiliate K98 Talk, and of course our very own the LNM Radio Network. That is our mothership, where all this magic happens. So we thank everyone for joining us. We've got the YouTube is hopping over there. So thank you for joining us, everyone. Hope you're enjoying. We will take calls 803-392-4566. Skype ID LNM Radio. And I'm going to also go to questions in the chat room as well. So, all right, let's get with it. We've got 509 area code. Straight if you're going to call in. All right. So, all right. With that, let's get back to it.
Yeah, everybody wanted to see what was going on upstairs. This is a live view. There's really only a couple of craft out there. You can barely even make them out currently upstairs. This is the Navy's ISS, not the HGISS that's, the public all looks at. There's only really one craft out there right now, and it's on the dark side, so you can't really make out a whole lot.
All right.
Now, the fun thing, and I'll give this link to others, this is where you get to watch the nightly exodus of craft. This is the the cat goat at Hawaii. And you see all the craft zipping about.
I see. So some of that stars, right?
No, I mean the long blurs. Those are that's the moon coming up. Those blurs that's craft zipping about, not airplanes. And this lets you look through backdates. For instance, one of the key nights was November 8th. That's when one of the fake ET invasions was going down on the West Coast, where we kicked their butts. Destroyed every craft they had.
And you'll see very elongated ships up there. You will see like a mothership, like, it will look like a huge, cigar shape with, like, the lights on the runners.
For instance, we'll go back. I'll show you
15th, 14th,
November 8th was one of the good nights.
Is this not amazing to see? Isn't this amazing?
It is. And I just want to tell people, I think that the reason I'm not able to take your calls right now, I think is because if I don't call everybody, I think one of you called back into me, and I think that's preventing me from adding people for some reason. I don't know. Because it's telling me if I take a call that you all are going to be put on hold. So that's usually... That could be go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I want to thank actually Andrew Mallett's also on with us this evening too. He will be taping this for us live too at Project Incentium. So we'll have some footage there for people too.
All right, fantastic. Thank you.
There's all kinds of cameras on this site. This is the cloud cam. There's others that are what they call the web cameras, which show other craft taking off. Let me give you this link first. I'll add this, and then I'll so you can put this on the board, and okay. And then I'll go and open the other one, which is the webcams. Right. Again, the Northeast. We'll go back to Friday. Northeast. Full screen. Northeast, southeast, it doesn't matter. You'll see, you see them going, leaving
Oh, yeah, look
in
at that.
droves. You know what I mean? That's been going on right along.
Look at that. Yeah.
Yeah. We see that all the time. Since we haven't had any more attempts this week to stage the fake ET invasion, things have been kind of quiet upstairs. But when that does go down, yeah, in this camera we see, battle blasts and firing and everything going on.
Yeah.
And it's on the dark side. Also, the rarity on this one, there's nothing there right now. But when they had the Agartha station, there's 3 of them in our system, docked, because 2 weeks ago it started and they were all together for about a week. All the ISSs docked with each other. And I've got, there was a film on YouTube of something docking with the ISSs. Everybody says, oh, that's fake, it's not real. Guess what? It's real. I've got video footage, camera shots and video footage from inside the Agartha station showing it docked to the ISS and a couple of battle cruisers sitting right out there. And if you look back at the glass, there's a female human here and a ET reflected in the glass.
Can you see the base image?
Yeah, I do see that.
Right?
Yeah, at 12 o'clock. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And these are a couple of the Dracos Imperial Star Cruisers, a couple of different models. When they dock really close to the station, even with their stealth gear on, you get this, because it doesn't completely hide it. That's the bridge section that sticks up above. There's another one over here. And they had to actually add a big, long-ass tunnel that the third ship that parked behind had to swim to get to the station. Now, the question is, where did they get this long tube? Because it's bigger than all the space stations put together. This thing. That they had swum to. It actually torqued and did damage to the airlock. And I don't know why they were all processing, all ships that docked were processing through the ISSs into the Agartha station. And now they got a problem up there. Because in the span of 3 days, they had 1,200 people use the Biffy, and the tanks are all full.
Look at that. Wow.
So they now have a problem up there with waste management that they haven't figured out a solution to yet.
Well, they could do what the Clinton bus did and just drop it.
Now here's one of the Agartha stations. I caught it with the Lasco. It looks much like the DS9 in the Star Trek DS9 movie, except it only has 2 prongs, not 3. And there's at least 3 of them. I've caught them separately out there. I'm told there's 4 of them. And the funny thing is, they're now marketing for money from people to both build these stations that already exist, so they can make some profit off of them, and then charge people admission to become members of their civilization off Earth. So they want to profit twice. Not to mention they built these with tax money that was given to them. So
Unlawfully to start with.
yeah.
That's incredible. And I've been trying to take, we've had a lot of people trying to call in, and I've been trying to take your calls. I think the only way I'm going to be able to fix this so that I can take their calls is that if I hang up and then call the group back. I think that's probably the only way. And I'll do it in a minute. I mean, you go ahead and continue showing us.
This craft actually landed in the water off the coast of New Zealand and Australia. They're doing recovery ops because the Council 12 actually took out Draco's under ocean base there, and they're, I guess, down there raping of anything left that's worth anything. Because I got pictures of where it landed.
And that was what?
It's a ship.
That was a ship.
There was another little one running with it. The little globe jumps. It landed on the ocean, and yeah, they've been raiding underwater bases. This is what a star cruiser looks like after it gets about 40 or 50 minutes out of orbit. The Silver Legion goes and destroys the stupid thing. So these people are not getting away. And if they're not destroyed, if they actually heed the orders to heave to and cut your drives and prepare to be boarded, and then they get re-education and such.
So,
program to re-education. So,
is it that military factions aren't aware? Is that because they send people, like they'll send fighters to go after these things?
These big star cruisers, the Dracos originally owned them, and they turned them over to the Nazi groups because the Nazis have actually been helping the Dracos conquer other systems. So we humans already have a bad rep out there, and we're spread all around the Milky Way already.
Oh, great. That's not good for the Milky Way, I don't think.
No. And the Dracos need to be exterminated. They're like the galactic locusts.
And now, where are they coming from, actually? I mean, where do they live? Are they from different star systems, or are we occupying their planet?
No. Their original... See, the Dracos have no creativity at all. They're a level 3 civilization. They never evolved. They can't evolve. And the only reason why they got off their home planet is because a ship actually crashed there. New Quill is here. That's the folks who got in a fight with the elves on Eden that got Eden put in quarantine and got our oversight removed. The Dracos started that war. They actually made the New Quill's homeworld toxic. And they were a water species. And they gave them a priestess of who humanity would have been had nothing changed here and we not had our containment broken, and we could have evolved without all this interference. So in doing that, the Dracos actually created a paradox. But the Dracos' homeworld is like, home system's like right here. Because they actually use a new colored gate to get on the transit network. And they gave the New Quillans one of the Dracos, Imperial Star Cruisers. The Imperial Star Cruisers from Star Wars are a depiction of the real Draco ships, not the other way around. Dracos came first. Dracos have been here on Earth since day one of humanity. And before that, because there were actually squatters on here when Earth was brought to the Sol system through the Sun Gate. And planet then either.
And how come does anybody bring the fight to them, or is this just one of the battlegrounds where we live?
Okay, here's the other messed up issue. The Council of 12 that's here now, there was originally 15 races that helped Gaia helped raise here. If you think about the time span of humanity, that's gone 15 times before, and that's a long time. We've actually got the history of a timeline history of humanity. They were warned, the Council of 12, by elder races from outside the Milky Way, that the Dracos were a problem. In fact, the Dracos are persona non grata outside the Milky Way, and they're killed on sight. They told them they had to do something about it way back then, and they never did. But this is humanity's timeline. We're supposed to be graduating out into space because this period ended right here, September 22nd, 2013. And here's the original star seeding. The great apes played host mothers to give birth to humanity. But like I said, she manually put that together and then implanted it in the apes. The apes give birth to humanity. That's where your RH factor comes from. That's your rhesus monkey factor. That was a protective matrix put into humanity to prevent the Dracos from doing the kind of things they're doing now. In fact, it took the Dracos until 1617 to find a workaround to the RH positive issue to start the Dracos human hybrid program. We got the contract for that. When that went down.
Well, if you can't sign up in a college for a lesson like this, I'm telling you.
No.
Wow.
And the first human Elven hybrid, which was created by the Tudor group, usurped the clan mother's rights and signed the contract, as well as the queen of the Tudor group at that time, the queen of the Dracos. There's a contract. It's all been annotated with what it all means. But here you can see up in the corner they're lifting the clan mother's rights. She had no right to be signing that contract. And Morgan Le Fay was 600 years old when she signed this.
So it's kind of like a executive action or something? Executive order, I should say?
Again, that's the Tudor group violating every tenet of the treaty that they signed with the 13th clan mother back in 640 BC. Now, Gaia, right along, has been trying to do repairs. She is, when you dip into the DNA side of this whole mess, because I've gone all the way down that rabbit hole too. The reason why they pay so much money for you to turn on your old cell phone and they'll give you a new one for cheap money, and they sold all these new higher speed wireless network cards, is because Gaia has been broadcasting mitochondrial 10 code and putting in males and females alike in their mainstream DNA to do repairs back to original factory condition. And the wireless networks and the cell phone networks and the Gwen towers and all that are designed specifically to walk all over this signal.
So we've got signal wars going on. So one is meant to damage us, and well, a lot are meant to damage us. Well, brainwash us or something? I mean,
yeah, this is James D. Watson. He's one of the head people that works for Monsanto but runs the Human Genome Program. They tried to give him some boosted abilities, and it immediately took him right back out. They were rather
too. But also, this is where you start seeing problems, let's say, with people hearing about augmented or super soldiers and stuff too, or people being used and abducted. So these are types of things that we found in the Human Genome Project, and it's something that is referred to as the Project Panther. And this is, again, the alterations that are happening in the vaccine program. This is why the vaccine
and the Monsanto GMO delivers a lot of change coding, and your artificial sweeteners are the actual chemical activators for that RNA that they're putting in the GMO food.
I see. Well, I've got some questions here from the chat. I want to throw a few of them out at you, and then, folks, I'll try to see if I can get it where we can take calls. But give me a minute. Let me get to some chat questions first. Here's one from Sonoma, I guess that is. Ask Karen how much Selmaki
You can't take too many.
Okay.
It's physical impossible to take too many. But bear in mind, every cell in your body has DNA in it. You need the salmiac to rebuild your third pole of your DNA in every cell of your body.
Yeah.
Taking salmiac alone isn't going to do it. You got to have the right pH level, and you got to eat the right pre-broken down foodstuffs and the minerals and everything, like the phosphorus and magnesium and all that to build the pole itself.
Right.
Otherwise, just putting that stuff in isn't going to do much other than clean you out.
Yeah.
Bear in mind also, you got to buy stuff in a broken down manner. This is the changes that the Dracos did to us way back. Change the body acid so that it made it really difficult for you to eat in raw food the materials you need to redo the repair. This was coupled with the witch hunts and the Spanish Inquisition and all that, because that was the people who were still doing it and doing the repairs, so they had to hunt them down and kill them.
Okay, Barbara asks, oh, go ahead.
Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, just with what your viewer just actually asked me, was that the cell map here, some people can get it at SoccerBit, which is SOCKERBIT.com, and that's a cell map, and it comes in 3 different sort of flavors, just to let you know. There's one that is basically a root beer, which is Turris Blasca. There's another one that is a Salta Pastille, which is more of a licorice, and they have a very gummy type flavor. Now, one of the things too is that as a Solarian or a raw food vegan, which is all I actually advocate, is that you actually can get the actual powder, and it's a place called cchobby.ce. And so we're trying to bring it in because it went in through Stockholm, and also we're trying to get it in through Wiltshire, through London, because I would prefer to have it in that. And even though I really have to caution people, most of the Solmac out there and in candy stores is totally genetically modified. It's got so many different carcinogenics in it, it's not even funny. So a lot of people think they can just go get this on the internet or on Amazon. That's not what you do. It takes a little bit of research. SoccerBit at least has a little bit of a cleaner type of delivery system, but you do actually have to phone them because they have pulled it off the internet after all the stuff that we've been advocating with it. So mine would be to get it in a raw salt, just like you get, Himalayan salt, and bring it in. And I'm attempting to do some stuff with David Wolf's Steve Adler at Sacred Chocolate so that we could put it into the raw cacao and raw chocolate and have that as a delivery, or put it into enemas or other methodologies. So that's where I'm at. So
one of the other things also is you can't really use their website to order. It's $10, no matter how much you order in one go. It's $10 delivery charge, and their website will only let you add 1 pound. It's worth it to get 4 pounds or more. It's not much per pound. You got to do it by phone. You got to put the order in by phone.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. And Barbara asked, Michael, could you ask what in the world is going on in the South Pole? What was John Kerry doing there?
I just want to show you this. This is aluminum. This is what the molecule looks like. And this is what it is in its raw format. Now, bear in mind, if you get salt ammonium or sal aluminaic, which is the addition that's made in a lab, it is not the same thing. And eating too much of that stuff can kill you. And that is the grounds that they use to make it illegal. Even though the stuff made in the lab is totally different, even the molecule of it is totally different.
Okay.
So that's how they trip you up.
I see. All right. So the South Pole, and I actually got a couple of questions.
Okay.
About
I've been talking to my, my allies upstairs on this today, because they weren't aware of a lot of things when we did the attack on the Scott Amundsen base. We thought that was their main camp out. As it turns out, it is and it isn't. There's actually a ship under that base that they've been rehabbing and trying to get working again, because I guess they intend to use it. This is the ship. That little green triangle is where on top of the ice, because this sees right through the ice. That's where the Amundsen Scott base, at least what they call Amundsen Scott on the camera, that's sitting there. And that's what we attacked already once. But that's what he was down there checking the status of the repairs on this. And ETs that live down in the hole told them to get the hell out of there and don't come back. Because they know the cabals are going down. Here's the thing. I've got satellites that can look right down and see the whole South Pole, where anybody else that looks there is going to get the holograph. This is the actual South Pole. There's a big hole right here. I've got scans of the whole Earth that shows where that goes down in. There's a base that's floating in the zero G down here. You can't really call it a base. You got to call it a space station. That's the actual Amundsen Scott base. And you can't walk there, you can't fly there. And that's it right there. And it's armed. It's a weapons platform. Zoom out a little bit. See it there, it's down in the hole. So that's got to be taken out. That's now on the agenda to be done. The last time, we had the Athena battle platform came down, blew up the power station. That's.
Should we expect a pole shift? That's
No, Guy is doing that real gentle, and she's not going to spill any eggs. There's another fact that they don't tell you about in school at all, and that is this. Every time our second sun comes in and do a pass by every 12,000 years, all the planets and all the moons expand 15%. Okay, it's still parked out there now, and we're expanded 24%. So even though all the poles are melting like crazy, the tides have actually gone down. Okay, so you have to get the whole flooding issue too. Not happening.
So we want to build an ark.
No, it's not happening.
All right.
I'll show you the. Where is it?
You just have to keep the arc.
In orbit. What we are going back to our original orientation, where it used to be, which is with the South Magnetic Pole. We're not physically flipping the Earth, mind you. We're just doing the magnetic change, putting the South Magnetic Pole back here, where it belongs. Now, if you look at this, with the South Magnetic Pole there's a 100-mile swath around the entire planet where all the original megalithic structures were built. Okay, that's the original orientation of Earth. So this is just a return to where we were before. And if you want to see a scan of what Earth looks like, right. Okay, that's the entrance at the South Pole. This is the North Pole one. The yellow areas are habitated. The red in the middle is solid and actually has molten and all that to form the gyro that powers our electromagnetic shield. This little extra runoff here goes over to what's called Shangri-La. That's where the last 10,000 of the last group of class that graduated off of Earth before Gaia brought her humans in 2 groups of 6 prototypes through the gate from Eden, through 2 different gates. 10,000 of the last group stayed behind with Gaia's permission to tutor her kids. That's the ones that the Buddhist monks commune with all the time.
One
So
thing,
Buddhist monks got it right.
one of the things too that for a lot of people that are new to what we've been presenting, if you haven't been following it, Project Incenssion or some of the other shows, is that these are actually detailed very, very well, Michael, at actually Facebook of all things. But if you go to Pattie L. Brassard and just go to albums, you will see actually all of this. There will be thousands and thousands in categories. So whether you want to go to Warp Drive or different things. Also to my Facebooks, I've got 3 different ones at Kieran MacDonald, Kieran Ann MacDonald, and Kieran Lucyk MacDonald. So when you go into our albums, what we're actually showing you is actually already there, some of these.
I'm really happy because I put all the right way to build a warp drive out there, that you don't need deuterium, you don't need any matter, you don't need any of that, okay? I put my designs out there in the public, free of charge, and all the plans, all the specs on how to build them. And there's people out there now actually building them. That makes me very happy because we've got enough of them building them now. There is no way they're going to pull this tech back.
Nice. That's good
No
to hear.
way. I mean, literally, they're out there, they're building them, and they work.
Wade, he asked about the executive order that Obama put out, space weather events, about preparing for them. He wants to know if that has anything to do with the ships that are around us.
You got to remember, he tried 3 times to stage a fake ET invasion. I mean, Tropical Storm Matthew was never a hurricane because the winds never went past max of 76 miles per hour. So, you know, the Clintons just profiteered off all the money that was given them, supposedly to fix things in Haiti, but there wasn't any damage. So,
Michael, can I say something about the hurricane?
Yeah, please do.
Listen, I waited out the storm, and the Weather Underground app that I was looking at, it showed it right up top of Daytona. And and also FEMA broadcast, not FEMA, but the Weather Channel broadcast vehemently that, oh, it's just off the coast of Florida. And FEMA will not support their funding unless it's a direct hit. That's written in the law. And so the next day after the storm, I never felt more than 50, 60 mile an hour winds. He's right about that.
I was joking because I said, I got to get me some of these chairs. I wonder if they export them because they got to be the strongest chairs I've ever seen.
Yeah,
These are in Haiti.
let me go on with the story. The next day, I get a phone call from a roofer contractor, a buddy of mine who's now GC. He says, Ben, what are you doing? I said, I'm cleaning up my yard. I said, it wasn't much of a storm. He says, BS. I said, what do you mean? He says, I get called every 5 minutes from the insurance companies on claims for roof overs. I says, are you in? I said, how much? She said, $500 a pop. Says, I'm coming right now. I did 7 roofs in 4 days. And I got up here. But while I was watching this storm and then afterwards seeing all the damage that got called in, let me just say this. It was just the mobile home parks.
Yeah.
Nobody else got hit. And then we go back to what industrial surrealism led me to believe about these cloud-making generators, machines and stuff. And, actually there's patents for everything that makes a storm, guides a storm, feeds a storm, and goes after everything that
They were goosing this thing for all it was worth, and that's the best they could manage.
Yeah.
I mean, they had Harper, because I can tap in the Harper network and did every now from Harper and what they were doing. And
Y'all go ahead with it. I had a break here because I didn't even have a chance to say that before, and I got a lot of payroll to do. I'm still listening.
They were running Harper for all it was worth, and beyond that, they actually I caught them on Modus. They actually have heat generating things in the mountain range. They were trying to create a heat plume on this side to draw the storm on land, deliberately. And they still couldn't do it. And like I said, the max winds that they managed to do was 76 miles an hour, which was outside, not on the inside, not on the land side, but on the outside.
Who is actually trying to make that hit land?
Obama.
Obama was, okay.
Here's the thing. He wanted to eliminate, get a bunch of people evacuated off the coast into FEMA camps and get this place all clouded over, because that same day was when the East Coast fake ET invasion was supposed to go down. And they did try, but we destroyed every craft they had. And that battle then continued up in orbit for an entire week, to the point where the energy levels up in space built up and actually, started coming down into the atmosphere.
That really explains why we're seeing all the crying around the country. I think that maybe it's like cords that were connected to these people and they got ripped off, I don't know.
Almost. Like, one of the things too is that, and I was just looking a little bit at the chat room as well. When we're talking about the different things, why we're going to be looking at these different, eco-villages and basically glass enclosed facilities, because we are having problems with the magnetic shields. We are having problems with radiation. We're also Pattie and I are actually one of the 2 witnesses basically almost left out of what happened at CERN when they had a basically a meltdown. And I'm actually seated by the University of Saskatchewan here, which has got an LHC, or Large Hadron Collider, which is like Brookhaven and all. We've got hundreds and hundreds of these mini sites. So some of these things are really important, but what we're focusing on is what we're going to be doing and how can we go into these facilities. And that's why there would be actually no money, no trust, because everything would be gifted and provided for.
Yeah,
And that's what we're looking into for the enclaves up here.
Yeah, they were scale waving, mind controlling people. You could see from orbit, literally.
Yeah.
And you could see where the energy was starting to drop down in the atmosphere. I've got another panel where I was looking at the energy issue. They've actually had to add new portions to the space stations because every time they go over where that battlefield was, they were actually losing electronics and frying their cameras. This, if you look here, there's nothing down here, right?
Right.
I'll show you in a minute. That's Nibiru, by the way.
That is new.
Yeah. It came from, a flyby. It was interesting what we were doing.
And the red Kachina.
Yeah, we shut that down too. But I want to show, just, how much they had to add these to actually dissipate the energy.
Somebody better get that information to Masters, that guy Marshall Masters. Because he's
Just another graph right there.
That could be a whole story itself. He doesn't want to talk to us for the last few years.
Yeah, me either.
We can open up cameras directly, and it invalidates a lot of people's
Everything that he does, yeah.
what they've been doing, and misinforming. So, yeah, we just won't go there anymore.
Okay.
What about flat earthers?
Oh, those. I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
I really don't.
They're on Marshall Masters Planet X.
Yeah.
That's what it,
When we've repinned the sun, it looks beautiful now. We've got a shield up around the whole sol system and everything, but yeah, you can see it. It physically made changes. My group is the one that made the changes to Saturn. That NASA, says they don't know what's going on upstairs because Saturn suddenly changed color and everything. Yeah, I know we did it. Saturn, you got to understand what they were using CERN for. Okay. CERN was trying to break the rogue gods who got imprisoned in it, the top of it, before Noah's Ark wiped down. That was what that was about.
you said was
using it. They had actually managed to get a hole through this hex prison up here, about the size of your index finger, using CERN. That was what the portal, where they wanted to open the portal to let these rogue gods out. I left Saturn to last because Saturn's not really a planet. It's a former sun. So there's a lot of extra things involved with doing Saturn. But we pinned all the other planets with crystals and changed their frequency. Now, when we did that, Saturn changed color and the whole thing went blue. The prison calmed down. It's no longer all puckered up. But then time went by and it started turning yellow. Warning flags were up. I said, you got to go out and do this now. They were trying to restart Saturn as a sun. So we went and pegged Saturn. We did a full workover in that, put a loose reversal pump on it. We did Triton, we did Titan, and really did a number of top and bottom on Saturn.
And that's what
Change your frequency.
Yeah, and I think one of the things too is that people need to really come to a space where they can be into their hearts and be so grateful, because we've actually given the ability for people to actually have their regain their powers and to get back into their original nobility and to get their rights back. This is a huge step, and Pattie really is. It's like being a national hero. You have no idea what it's like to have been for the last 4 years co-piloting and being mentored by the likes of Pattie. And
here's when they tried to restart Saturn as a sun. Not realizing what I had done it.
Yeah, I heard about that. NASA had plans. I read an article on this. It might have been a couple of years ago. They had plans to try to ignite it. And what the hell is the matter with them?
Now, here's the thing. I didn't know that they had intended to use Mimas as a battle star again. They had retrofitted it. They had linked Mimas to the core of Saturn so that when they restarted this, it would power up Mimas as a battle star again. Well, that's not the way it went down because of all the pins and stuff and the frequency change and the anti-loose reverser I put in there, top and bottom. And I put a Gaia's broadcast array on the bottom. I'll show you that in a minute. But here's what happened to Mimas. And they did this for 2 days. Boom, 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 boom. They had an entire fleet, okay, parked around Mimas and docked with it, trashed it. And a lot of Putin stuff was out there. I don't know if you people saw what the film of the Russians out there, the rings of Saturn and everything. Yeah, we messed them up.
This probably that space junk falling from the skies? Is that what?
Well, the ring makers at Saturn, the long tube ships, have been playing like Coast Guard and been shuttling people back and forth because, let me open this up. Watch here, and I'll page through fast. You'll see all the ships tumbling by. No drives, no power. Big chunks of Mimas. Mimas is nothing but a slag heap now. You know,
Look at that.
the power released out there was so amazing that Rhea, which is another one of the moons, actually phased out in 2 entire frames. You could see stars right through it.
Mm-hmm.
It just phased partially out of existence.
Now, how does that happen?
You got to understand the way that this level of creation is built. That's, you know, they phased out of the energy and the frequency of it was Gaia's, and it phased it to a higher reality and started to phase it right out of being able to be, you know, perceived at this level by the cameras. Which is kind of sort of, in a manner of speaking, you know, the legends about the rapture and all that, will people actually float up into the sky? No. When you ascend, if you get a bunch of people left behind, it's going to seem like you just went invisible because you've moved to a higher resonance level in your body entirely. Moved to a higher frequency level out of the range of their perception.
And that's
So
when
there is some truth to that.
Yeah.
This is what the top of Saturn looks like now. And the bottom, the anti-loose reverse pump, you know, because they were using this as a whole to feed the dark tree, you know, the fractal infection.
Mm-hmm.
If you picture the double tree, one above the other, we're on the top. We have a connection to the source. The bottom one doesn't, and they feed off of us. That's part of what, you know, eating the loose and stealing your energy is about. And then there's a broadcast array from the bottom, and this now always points towards Earth and beams Gaia's signal instead of their messed up one that was, you know, the slave signal.
And there's a lot of people who's just going to say is we're raising our frequency and vibration. This is what Pattie's meaning. You know, it's not just in the mind, but also what we're doing and bringing into the physical. And that's where using stuff like essential oils actually raises you outside the frequency.
Everything's about frequency. Whether you use essential oils, whether you use light therapy, sound therapy, or essential oils. I mean, all of it, or music. It's all about frequency.
And one of the things too, I know as a practitioner, you know, doing Reiki Master and Quantum Touch and Theta and Body Talk and all that, but one of the top modalities too is something called Matrix Energetics. And I don't know if you're that aware of it, but that's something done by Dr. Richard Bartlett. And so we've done a lot of stuff like this, but we actually have, one of my girlfriends, if you can get this, Karen Spurley, was doing some of the stuff with the children with the Matrix Energetics. And when they actually went to film her, she was starting to become translucent. And again, people started to phase in and out. This is not just the Mandela stuff, but, you know, things are starting to happen here, you know?
Things are happening. There's, yeah, it is. It's, you know, I mean, we're actually, I feel like we've gotten a few victories. Like,
We're getting a lot. This is what's left. This is real time, by the way. I can grab in and use all the satellites to go out and basically anywhere, look around. This is what's left of Mimas. It's slag.
wow.
Even
Looks
the Death Star looking weapon in the side of it, it's gone. It's slag. That's what's left of it. Big chunks missing off of it and everything. But this is an artificial. This is like the Death Star in Star Wars. This is an artificial moon. It was a battle platform. And that was the weapon that's now slagged. And, you know, big time slagged.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's useless now. But that's, you know, they got 3 more out there. And out here, and you can see, if I zoom in on this out here, go free fly, and bring this into the center and zoom in, you can see this ship's interdicted. Good. Hang on, let me get it. Set it up on the screen here. This is I hate this interface because it's counterintuitive. Yeah, you got to drag the screen the opposite way you want it to move. And you can see there's a whole ton of ships. There was, see them all?
Yeah.
Dead in space. Dead in space. I mean, the only ships that didn't seem to be affected by the blast, the energy blast, and were still moving around afterwards, was the rod makers. So they've been like playing Coast Guard and going out there and recovering all the people and bringing them back to Earth.
So do they ever strike this planet, or, I mean, is there some rule where they can't?
What would be the point?
Well, I don't know.
We're only 30% of the people down here.
But aren't we striking their targets of theirs, or no?
Okay, I set up the circumstances. They pulled the trigger.
Okay.
Can we explain scorched earth shouting? I think it's really important.
I gave them a warning. You know, our engagement code for my side, Earth's Defense Forces and our allies. I said, you know, the engagement code is green open. Scorched earth policy is now in effect. Basically, even if you got hostages at this point and you're a base, we're taking out. It was my allies, the Race Lang, that took out that base in Texas and just, you know, leveled it and killed everybody in there.
Okay.
We hit Path 4, we hit Area 51, we hit the South Pole. We shut down that action that was going on in Southern California, last year. When the Navy said they were doing some sort of experiment and lost all GPS and everything, that's bullshit. That's not what was going on. They were trying to open the illegal gate using legacy builder tools to bring some illegal tech in from an alternate timeline. And we had to go and take the Spear of Destiny away from them.
So alternate timeline. So in this Mandela effect, there's something to it.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with CERN, though. When I explained what happened with the Dracos and them creating that paradox, given the Aquilans, a priestess of who humanity would have been in there with all their abilities had we not been interfered with. They gave that to the Aquilans. They gave them a ship, told the Aquilans deliberately the wrong way to use the transit system. They came out. Eden was here with the Elven. Earth wasn't even here yet. They asked the Elven to help. Elven said no. But they ended up kidnapping a bunch of Elven, and they used a mutagenic on them and found they could use them to reproduce and, you know, keep their civilization alive. So when they came back to get more Elven, war ensued because the Pixie Fae got involved because, you know, they stole, the Elven made the Pixie Fae. Somebody level 14 or higher contributed to that making, because the Pixie Fae ended up with more power than Mother Eve's got. But they're a childlike mentality, they're a group mind. Needless to say, the second trip of them grabbing elves, you know, they were using mutagenics on Eden. Humans got hit with it. They became the mer people who, because there's no salt water in Eden, there's only fresh water, they had to be transferred to Earth. You know, that's your mer people. Some of the Pixie Fae got hit with it and landed on humans. They became the Jinn. real nasty customers. Some of the Peachy Fae that got hit with the mutagenic and landed on Elvin became the genies, which at least they got some control on them. Again, those two groups escaped through the gate to Earth, and eventually, the funny thing is, the equivalent of how we got rid of the Anunnaki later on. Because when the Anunnaki were in charge of Egypt, and they made all the pharaohs and everything, the Quillans, that Draco ship, driven by the Quillans, came out of the Subgate again and attacked Earth. The Anunnaki and Dracos had to go up and defend Earth. The Dracos had to defend Earth against one of their own damn ships. And that's on the pyramids, okay? And while all those forces were occupied off Earth, the Blue Avians and a bunch of other races who were here at the time kicked in with humanity, we revolted and kicked them off the planet.
All right, listen, we've got to take one more break here. It'll be a little quicker, so hang on with us. Let's get this break done. And folks, there's a lot of questions. Sorry, I've not been able to take calls. I promise you this, though. I'll have these guests back again, and we'll take. I could still try. I'd have to hang up with them, and then call back in order.
The break goes through in here.
So much information that I don't know as though I'm going to take calls right now. Probably I'll just take your questions in the chat for the time being. But we do need to take a break here, and then we'll come back and talk some more, folks. This is Late Night in the Midlands. I'm Michael Vera, and I'd give you the call-in number, but I don't know if it's any good right now. All right, we are back. This is Late Night in the Midlands. I'm Michael Vera. It is Friday night, and wow, things are really hopping here. A couple of great guests. Ben Davis, again, we can't thank you enough. So if you see him in the chat room, tell him thank you, because he actually set this up, and we do appreciate it. So, folks, again, get over to LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Become a late nighter. Help us stay on the air. We've got a network. We've got a radio network. We've got lots of shows that run on the L&M radio network, and a lot of good shows at that. You can catch me live Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern time, and it's like clockwork. And we do a lot of great shows. I got to say, this one is really, really taking the cake here tonight. Could go down as the best. No offense to those other guests, but nothing like evidence. I love evidence. So let's get back to it. I've got questions from the chat. Let's see here. I want to get to a couple more. I know, Scully, you asked if any of this has bearing on the elections. My guest had already said earlier in the show that yes, it did. If you want to, do you want to rehash that really quick? So, Trump being in power, no action.
Trump's not a member of the Tudor group. He's, in fact, he's not even human. He's an Altarian. He's on our team. So.
Okay. All right. And
it was to get those other groups out of control. And like I said, if they didn't get 65% of the people to vote to keep their system in control of things, they're out on the bus. Because the whole thing with contracts and corporations and all of that ended effectively in 2013. And they had to have the popular vote to keep it going. And they lost it.
All right. And what about benevolent ETs? Moon Baby asks about benevolent ETs.
Okay, I'm going to say this right up front. I've only got 2 of the Arcturians, which are members of the Council of 12, working with me. Because when the Council of 12 first showed up, all these fake lord of creation of, governments down here, all went up there with biotech. Did the meet and greet, shook hands, transferred biotech goo to all these folks. And that's why they're not doing as much as they could be doing.
Sure. Okay.
There's two commanders that are tired of the politics and are working with me directly, despite the fact that, they're, not even 1% of the forces up there that's supposed to be working on the side of light. Then you have the Spear Alliance, who are just totally bogus, and they're making deals with these folks for their chunk of Earth in some respect, whether it be minerals, gold, DNA, they're bogus. Okay? So if you work with the Spear Alliance or even though the Zetas are members of the original 12, Council 12, the Zetas' homeworld is controlled from behind the scenes by the Dracos, just like here. They are the biggest leak in the Council of 12 network, and they're all bogus too. And they've been here for a very long time. The group, when the Anunnaki wanted to make better slaves out of humans, the Draco said, you cannot breed with them directly because you'll put the third pole back in their DNA that we went through all that trouble to remove. So what they did was they spliced our DNA. They cut a little bit off the second chromosome and a little off the bottom of the third chromosome, merged them together, bring us down to 46 chromosome, and then they made a Anunnaki Zeta hybrid. That's the Zionists. That's the folks that camped out in South Pole still. And then they took the Lemurians, artificially inseminated that whole group, and Moses did the let my people go, and the 40-year trek through the desert following a Zeta spaceship was actually to create a breeding population of hybrids that they could then crossbreed with humans to make us better miners.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. It really does. Now, how do we know if we're human?
The first human that they, crossbred with popped out was Jesus. And he still had all his abilities, even though he'd been reduced down to two-spiral DNA with only 46 chromosomes. So the Tudor group waited for him to breed with Mary Magdalene, and then stole Mary Magdalene and his kids and killed him. And the symbol of the rose on the Tudor group is for Mary Magdalene. That's Jesus' bloodline, because they wanted all those abilities. They didn't want anybody else to have it.
Yeah, makes sense. But how do we know if we're human or not? That question comes from our YouTube chat from Dave.
Or you mean how much human you got in you, or if you're human at all? A lot has to do with your blood type. And when I say that, it's not just A, B, O. It's is it a positive on your RH factor? In other words, if you're RH positive, you're still basically Gaia's original equipment. They haven't monkeyed with your protective anti-DNA tamper system. That's if you're RH positive. Now, beyond that, there's a whole slew of other codes. For instance, I'm original tribe. So beyond that, I'm RZRZ. Now, if you mix my blood with anybody else that's not tribe, my blood will turn theirs solid and they'll die. I volunteered to come back. I'm a former graduate of this level of creation, and they made me as untamperable as possible. I can't be hypnotized. You can't use any of the mind-bending drugs on me because they'll stop my heart and I'll die.
So what happened?
I'll revamp up with all my abilities because I know how to rebuild this body correctly.
So what happens to us when we retire from these bodies? I mean, where do we go? What happens?
If you don't say, mentally do specifically you want to go home, which is outside the time stream and all that, you go in the recycle bin. And then the blue avians, the real ones, their jobs is, the start was to match you up by the frequency of your DNA of your last body to a new fetus at week 10 to 12.
Okay. So we do go on then.
You can't die down here. You can't.
All right.
It's the classroom. If you've ever watched the movie Avatar, these bodies are just your avatar. That's it.
I like my avatar right now.
Most of us do, I think. I was just going to add in here too, is that there is something to do with the DNA that people can do for their testing. And I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but it's a saliva test. We call it an mtDNA or a mitochondrial DNA testing. And that's something as a nurse too that, you know, people can just go on Amazon these days and get it. You can go to Ancestry.com, 23DNA. The other thing too is even for your blood type. I mean, so that you don't have to go into the Red Cross or into Canadian Blood Services and debt note or get them so that they've got more of your DNA for basically selling, which is what we don't want, more banking and gene banking, is that you can actually go on Amazon. And I was on the other day, and you can actually get a single or a family kit, as they called it, or the tribe kit.
That's the link to this site. This shows all the possible alien codes after your positive, negative thing.
And that's also something we've got too. It's called, you know, people are looking when they come all the time and they're asking about the blood type. It's not just as Patty said, we've got so many different species intermingling here that there is actually something called the rare blood types. And you have to really look at it. But I mean, you can even see things if you've been made up or, you know, genetically in a petri dish from Area 51.
This is the
I mean,
American Indian,
this into,
RCRC.
yeah, they don't teach these things normally to most people or to most nurses. And like I say, even what we were taught in intensive care as a neonatal, you know, there's no rhyme or reason to what's happening. Even to
Well, now, the cabal's put out a command to all the hospitals and all the doctors and nurses. They're not even supposed to give you your RH type at this point.
very difficult, even for women that are pregnant. Even for women that are pregnant right now to get that kind of information, or for my clients trying to get it back from, again, your records, if you had surgery, even as a neonatal nurse, when we did, you know, brought the babies through, is that you're always given a little card. It's got to be somewhere still in the medical records if you go check. It is your records. And so it is incumbent, because really, if you don't know who you are, you're really almost like an enemy of the nations right now. And that brings into a lot of some of the stuff what we're doing right now with, let's say, Standing Rock and with the water protection, and that is a water very other. That water is life right now, and people really need to know what that is. That ties into your bloodlines and how you are able to be like an inheritance or hereditary. And I mean, there's so many things I know, and I just sent a couple things on the chat line as well for people to look at. The chemtrails are going insane here. And I know if you want to try to see what's going on so bad, I sent it down to the Standing Rock people, is that go to planefinder.net, double click on that little yellow plane, and you'll see how many are unregistered that we can even find, or the entrances to these deep underground military bases, the DUMS units. And we need to get to the water, and we need to get people healthy first, which is why they can go to findthespring.com. So I'm really going to encourage people to get the H302. We need to get that triple strand done there. So there's so much being thrown at us.
If you look at the data that's available on that site, you can get a rough idea.
Okay, and I'm going to add,
by your blood type and by the numbers after. You can put the pieces together on that site alone and get a rough idea of where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, bear in mind, I had 32,000 people work with me on gathering the data on the original migration. 600, 6 prototypes, 10,000 of each, came out of the first gate, which is the one that's in Iran, which they want that control room in that gate, which is why eventually that's the last of the 4 that they need to really control Earth. That's why eventually they want to go into Iran. They want that damn gate. But they work with me on the archaeological and the haploid type and all the remains and everything, the migration out the first gate, and when it happened. And I mean, you can see by these dates, 13,000 years ago, 13,000 BCE, which is actually, 15,000 years ago, we came out the Eastern Gate, the Middle East Gate, which is actually the Western Gate. 500 years after that is when the other 6 prototypes came through out the Asian Gate, which is the Eastern Gate. That's where they originally were. The tribes were all put out first to be the groundskeepers of Earth, the keepers of the peace, and the keeper of treaties. These are called the clans. So there is a difference. The tribes were not originally meant to interbreed with the clans at all. All the clans were meant to interbreed with each other to produce the final project. You know, the final Homo sapiens. You know what I mean? We have all this hardcore archaeological right from the gate outward. When the Atlantis sunk and that group came ashore, and the change in the migration pattern that went down, and everybody went down and founded Egypt and, at the direction of the Martians and the Lemurians and the Anunnaki. You know what I mean? This is all, you know, hardcore back 6 ways from Sunday. It cannot be denied. The Silk Road was actually designed originally to connect the two groups together. That was the point of it.
Well, an incredible amount of information tonight. I mean, and the good news is people can go back and watch this as many times as they want.
Yeah.
Wow. So much information.
There it is. Now, originally the Dracos made 5 prototypes. They tried to make their own human first, rather than tampering with us. Meanwhile, while that was going on, they got humans and Elvins, who were here on Earth, to kill the last of the Oversight, which was the dragons. You know, talked us into killing them all off. And then they made 5 different prototypes, and the last 2 were Neanderthal man. He was bigger, stronger, and faster than humans, and even smarter than we were. They had to die. And then they made the Cro-Mags. Now, Cro-Mags were even worse than the Neanderthal because they were telepathic and everything else. To boot, they beat the crap out of the Dracos, escaped the lab, and jumped through the gate onto parallel Earths. And right before this merge started going in, I know they controlled 6 parallel Earths. I know 1 has already moved in because I've already had a conversation with the Cro-Mag. And he wanted to go to Home Depot and buy stuff to build the anti-gravity devices. And I said, you can't do it on this tagline. But I'm sorry. Welcome to Timeline 0. This is the battle zone.
We're just about there, though. Won't be long. You'll be able to buy everything you need online to build your own spaceship. I mean, it seems that way.
There's the timelines of the stuff that the Dracos built. And when they couldn't, you know, build something controllable, they removed our third polar DNA and clipped us of most of our abilities. And then the Anunnaki fused us down to from 48 to 46 chromosomes, which that does all kinds of other damage as well. Because you're coding in your DNA that's getting broken by radiation. All the radiation releases were done deliberately. And they keep monitoring around the globe mass populations and the actual, how well they're damaging you. These are the letters of your coding of your DNA. If it's a 1.00, all the data is still there. If it's anything less than a 1.00, there's data missing. And that when that data, you know, your DNA letter breaks open and your spiral, the data falls out, and your 21st chromosome, which is your repair chromosome, can seal it back up, but it can't put the data back in. And they have control groups all around the globe. They keep track of how well they're damaging you. That data is this. This is the interlinks. These are your chromosomes. And, you know, you go to this, you run this part of coding. It says go to chromosome 2, line such and such, then run that. That's what's in each letter of your DNA. It's those cross-link codes.
And I just want to bring
So when you fuse together 2 and 3, it changes and makes every link wrong, numbers wrong. That's why what the Anunnaki did actually introduced 250,000 defective bits of code into the human genome. And they really didn't care.
one of the things we can put to the people too is, what do you think Agenda 21 is? It's the 21st chromosome. And it's your ability to self-repair or to be basically terminated. And that's one of the things too that is, you know, not only to do with the FEMA camps, but it's the fertility and the reproductive, but the ability to self-repair or longevity technology.
It's a real woman with a Dracos disruptor.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I've got the build plan for that and my free energy stuff, but yeah, this stuff. The curious thing about that weapon is when you use that on a human, it destroys everything but the heart, because the heart is where your uplink's connected, and it's more powerful and higher frequency than that thing can cope with. So they actually have to shoot you once. You know, it'll disintegrate most of your body. Wait for your uplink to disconnect from your heart before they can shoot the heart and have that disintegrate too.
Okay, and let's see here. Bear asks, he asked if the ISS would be involved in this. Pretty much, he says the International Space Station must be in on this. So what do you think about that?
Curiously, the whole docking, because it's actually not, it's not one ISS, it's 8 of them. Okay, 2 of them, they don't acknowledge exist at all. That's the ones the Navy used. They're actually build shacks. But they recently got them all together, and then had an Augusta station dock with them, and they've been pulling a major exodus, because those big star cruisers have been pulling up and docking with them, and the ships have been leaving Earth like crazy. A lot of these folks are abandoning ship. It's the disruptor. Projected nuclear weapon. The curious thing about all this that I don't really fully understand yet, the ramifications of it, is after this big meet and greet went down and before they all separated again and went off their own ways, they transferred out the entire military personnel on all of them, and it's now commercial staff up there.
Commercial staff?
Yeah, corporate. So I don't see where they're gonna gain from that. And matter of fact, there's a lot of truly hilarious shit that's going on up there, because I can listen in on their audio up there too. They don't know where things are, or things are supposed to be somewhere and they're not. And, you know what I mean? There's a lot of that going on up there right now, even in the Navy station, which is now manned with, you know, a commercial staff. And everybody else, and here's the other thing, you think the United States and Russia don't get along, that they're, you know, hardcore enemies and everything, that's all up front, because these are all aliens that are fighting each other. It has nothing to do with humanity, because all those folks and all the encrypted data and everything got transferred down to Russia, and that's where all the staff went down. Even the Americans.
Now, Katie asked if the DUMS, if it was a big waste of money, the DUMS.
Yeah, because guy is fixing to flood them all with lava. She's pretty pissed off at him.
Ty, can you show your Facebook? This is a great thing if you see actually maybe yours and mine the Facebooks, because I know so many people are on Facebook, but Patty shows and demonstrates actually a great picture there of the lava coming in, especially on the West Coast.
I'd have to, if I open Facebook now, I probably lose connection.
No. I wasn't sure if you had one. I think I may have it.
I've got the
lava map.
The lava maps, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like a military plan to capture all the deep, dark cabal, put them down the dumps, and then kill them all at once.
Well, she's already flooded the major transit tunnel that goes between North America and South America. She's already cut off their escaping to South America.
And a lot of the stuff too, where people perceive these are earthquakes, they're really not. I mean, this is sometimes when you get things like Athena or the different space groups actually fighting at each other. They might be fighting at what you will see, like, you know, offshoots in Pine Gap or something like that, or New Zealand, or different things, because they're going after the different Draco and Anunnaki bases that are actually sometimes underneath the oceans and the seas as well.
This is all lava. All the tan.
Yeah.
That's liquid lava. Now, here's the thing. That's why Obama tried setting off a couple of 10 KT nukes in Yellowstone. He was trying to deliberately release the pressure here, because the lava that's up in here is the explosive kind, that when it hits the atmosphere, it's got so many gases in it, it goes boom. Whereas this, where the Long Valley caldera is, this is all the soft, juicy stuff that fills tunnels and domes. So he was trying to get, and it comes up from here. And the coincidental thing is, with that mess they made at New Horizons, deliberately trying to turn the Gulf into a large methane bomb, the more leaks out from there, the wider this hole gets, and the more lava comes up. So yeah, she's ready to flood all the dams out here. She's got this one off the coast up here. I came up with another idea, and nobody of my allies will let me get away with it. I want to hit the tube, the transit tube that goes out here to the Draco ship off the coast of Florida. I think if we just used the weapon and bored through that, we could flood the entire dumb network, the transit network, with seawater. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to do, and they so far they say no, because there's too many innocent people down there. That's the transit network.
And one of the things,
the dumbs.
this is the
top level. This is level 1 and 2. There's 5 levels of dumbs.
Yeah, that's where the
The really deep ones are ET only. That's these. Okay. They're like, deep underground cities. Matter of fact, like Mount Shasta, the one under there is where the ungenetically corrupted Lemurians camped out. They lived there. They have a whole city down there. The next level up is this. This is the transit network for the really deep ones. This is separate from the other map. This is the really deep one that goes out to that hangar that's under the ocean and everything out off the coast of Florida, California. Mm-hmm. And that's ET transit only. However, it will have some hubs in common with the top one. Then next one up, you got this. And this is a worldwide one. I've got 2 of these from 2 different crafts. These are ET bases as well around the planet.
And one of the things too, I just want people to see where we're at today too.
And then you put
those
this up.
maps are with what's going on in the Dakotas, and why that they're trying to make those transit lines there for the oil, but also because their deep underground military bases are actually being flooded out. So this is why they've been.
And they want to put a transit. They're working on getting all these bases, underground dumb bases, connected together. So they want to put a transit line here. They've already got another base here, and they've put a transit line here. Now, the backside of this, when they dug out this dam, that's where they got all the resources that they made the oil. So that oil pipeline originates at this dump site. And they want to put it down like here. So they're going to avoid their transit lines. They still want to, they got another base right here. They want to bring it across, and that's under the tribal's property. So they want to get them off.
And if you both don't mind, we can go a little bit longer here if you'd like.
We're
Okay.
fine. We're not
Great.
excited to do this.
All right, great. I'm excited to have.
I gotta hit the sack. I got physical work I gotta do, and you gotta do payroll. I'm still gonna listen in, but I'm gonna say goodnight, everybody.
Okay.
All right, Ben. Thank you very much, Ben. Great job.
You're welcome. We'll talk about this some other day. Bye-bye.
All right, have a good one.
Let me back in real quick here, Michael. Andrew Mel, Project Incenssion.
All right.
Hi, to your listeners, just to remind them this whole, because you guys are bringing up maps and stuff like that, just a reminder to let them know that they can watch the video version of this interview on my show, Project Incenssion, on YouTube. So you're doing that's an amazing job, Michael, you're doing with this radio show and everything. I just got to get it together, let your listeners know that they can see the video version on Project Incenssion.
All right.
We got them both covered on both sides. I think this is an amazing thing that we're going into, and someone just brought up about what Kamloops is. Kamloops is actually to Kamloops, by the way, and I arrived there. And I just wanted to jump in on this for a minute. That's at the Secwepemc Nations. And Secwepemc is a very, very powerful thing because the Secwepemc tribes, they're never actually sold off anything. And a lot of these areas out here in the Cree and the Anishinaabe and stuff like that, they're in a treaty area 4, 5, 6, 7 or something. But those treaties are not valid. They were never ever authorized or signed by a clan mother. So it doesn't really matter what legal contracts were made between these men or lack thereof. They were never authorized and have no weight or authority. And they're not actually valid. So there's a big difference between someone that is, a noble or actually in indigenous status, or a noble savage as myself with a clan mother, compared to someone in the private, public, or someone that is in a prisoner of war camp called a band or reserve, is called an inhabitant. And they don't have the rights that have been, again, usurped by, or people have tried to usurp over these years. Kamloops was very specific. And the reason I went back there actually several years ago was to put in for an arrest warrant for what you know as the de facto Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth had been actually with Prince Philip in 1964, taken apparently a royal little party and took a bunch of 10 children out of the residential schools. They were never seen again, and apparently they were bulldozed, and I've actually been taken to ceremonies on supposedly their grave sites. Because there is no lack or, when someone, murders someone, you can go back at any time. There's no lack of doing this and getting
There's no statute of limitations.
There's no statute of limitations on murder. So that's actually why I went back into there and put in for an arrest warrant for her. It was upon that and then filing in the different proclamations that I did into the different areas, and that's why people can't make any claims anymore. They think that they can make a template, or they think this is going to be like Winston Schrout's thing, or like, all these people that think they can do claims. Sorry, it doesn't cut it. There is no template to do it. It's who you are. And again, a lot of people think, they can claim the birth certificate money. Not going to happen. It's been shut down. And that Kamloops thing in the coastal Shalash, so Shwakmak, Chukatskal, I'm known as.
Here's where
I
she's
did
right now.
ceremonies there.
That's her royal palace on the west side of the Denver airport.
We're doing everything we can collaboratively, conjunctively, and everything else to shut this thing down from every different venue we possibly can at every different angle of the law. And we should see her scorched little ET pad there too. And
Yeah,
this is-
she had a airplane that, it looks like an airplane, but it's not really. It's a VTOL space-capable craft. They trashed it. We attacked it and burned this thing to the ground. It's actually now leaning over on one side. This lift platform don't work. This building is gone. There was they managed to shoot down some of our craft. There was slags of it over here. This ended up all on fire and burnt down here. There was a busted fire truck and other vehicles and everything that all ended up getting towed. It made a mess. But this craft don't go nowhere no more. And there's another one just like it on that base out in Germany, Ramstadt. There's another one just like it, parked out there. And that's why there's a whole load of crap going down out there too.
It's really important too that, as people are raising their vibration stuff, we should be actually celebrating. So I think everyone should be celebrating and have a glass of spring water like I do, page 302. And one of the things too...
Before it goes any further with that, people stop the doom and gloom, stop the hate, the anger, and everything else, because you know what? That just makes you better food for them.
Exactly.
Hey, I agree. Since Trump has got in there, I felt a lot better, and not because so much that it's Trump. It's just more that it's not Hillary Clinton. It was a victory for I feel like the other side finally. And so I've actually been in really good spirits. People have wanted to argue and bring me down, and I just won't let them do it.
One of the things too, Michael, when you think about this, now the stuff is coming out, all the stuff with Kathy O'Brien and what myself and my children went through, these Illuminati pedophile rings that we've been dealing with for years and the brainwashing of our children. But, again, it's what they were doing and the molestation. That's why using some of these oils like frankincense or myrrh or whatever is so important, because even like a vaccine, that's what they were injecting through the ejaculations, is those contracts. It's, again, those viruses, bacteria, the candida, the everything. And this is what raises our frequency.
If you look at
they
this,
can't be pulled down.
This is the Orion Zone. This is out Arizona, Utah, and all that. That's the gray ETs where they trenched in the original tribal land. So what I did with me and my work team, we actually hit that with some major changes. Frequency changes and a repair to the earth, because, they really killed that land, because that's out there is where they were doing all the nuclear blasts and everything. I imprisoned all the dark entities, and we eventually hit it with the whole side of the USA. This is a biotech shredder to, get all the implants and eat them.
Oh, kind of like a giant wood chipper. I said earlier, we need to get a giant wood chipper for all these criminals.
We've been doing that. Again, I've done, the entire USA wide. I've done specific treatments on Washington. Hit the White House with a crystal prison, and that makes the frequency they can't stand. And then I hit the monolith to do a healing frequency, guys heal frequency broadcast array out of it. And then, we started going big casino and doing whole sides of the planet at once, as well as rekeying all the other planets. And, once we did all the planets, Saturn began to change color, and then they tried to reignite it. We changed that. And so that whole thing went kablooey on them. That didn't work. I even hit the moon, the whole broadcast array that was up on the moon. I hit that too. Shut that down. All the Gaia's chakra points, which was all these sites here. Did treatments on all of them around the entire planet, both the originals and the newer chakra ones that they were building, as well as all the Cleopatra's needles.
Can hold on for just 1 minute? What I want to do here really quick is I want to hang up and then I'll call the group back. Hopefully I don't mess nothing up here. And because I want to see if I could maybe fix this line, and so that if I'm going to fix it, that's fixed. I don't know. Everybody back with me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There we go. Okay, that's what I was trying to do. All right. So, folks, we could try this. If I don't answer your calls, because I can't. So, but you could try now. All right. So, let's see here. All right. So, no, not going to be able to do it. It says, no. For some reason, it wants to put everyone on hold. So, that's okay. All right. That's not going to happen. All right, so where are we now? What is this?
All of these legacy sites that sit on Gaia's chakra points, as well as the new ones. I hit all of them.
Okay.
For instance, I'll give you one of the most spectacular that was visible is when I did Paris. When I did the needle there and dropped one of these over the Eiffel Tower. Okay, we etherically materialize these into existence. These are living crystals from Gaia. Now I'll show you the caves where they come from after. This is the Eiffel Tower normal when it's lit up, right?
Yeah.
After I hit it, and that, and it didn't stop there either. Got covered with orbs.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
And the following morning, in the millions, the entire populace of Paris got up and tossed their government out of the office.
Oh, fantastic.
So
Now,
this
the funny thing is,
live?
you could, outside of the field, you couldn't see any change. This is the camera from outside of the field. Okay, it lit up like normal as far as you could see from that camera. Anything inside the field showed what happened.
Yeah.
So yeah. You see
Okay.
immediately when we do this stuff, we hit the Louvre and the needle and all that's in front of the Ferris wheel. And
So now how are these targets actually being hit? And so despite these targets being hit, they still, you don't worry about them trying to.
they can't touch this.
Okay.
This is what we manifest them out of. This is living crystal.
Wow, look at that.
They can't get near it. They can't stand it. And if they try and go near it, this stuff will reach out and grab the dark entity types, suck it in and imprison them forever. Because my bindings have hex prisons just like the one on top of Saturn, only mine are a whole lot meaner than what was on top of Saturn, and mine can't ever come out. This is my basic one here. And as you see, it's a 3-dimensional triple hex prison that is the highest of frequencies that these dark entity types can't stand.
And were you originally designing this kind of stuff for NASA?
No, I don't give them any of that stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't.
Computer system. Now, that's a really mean one. Yeah, the whole computer lab. So I got basically into everything. And the links I put in there in their computer system are etheric. So there is nothing for them to find or take out or erase. They can't kick me out. I can just open a new door in anytime I need to. And get right back in, have it open a portal, let me in, and go do what I want to do.
Oh, they must not like that.
No, they don't.
Let's see here. Different languages. So Rascala asks about different languages. What can you tell him about all the different languages on Earth?
Well, originally, well, actually, the only language that's still left that's pretty much unperturbed from original is Punjabi. The Tower of Babel was deliberately to confuse the languages and turn 190 to 180 degrees out the sound forms that come out your mouth to make them opposite of the intent that's in your mind. So they no longer had any power.
Okay.
I mean, I've done a whole thing on just languages alone. That's another whole side issue.
Yeah.
When it gets into languages.
Now,
the key things about it is the alchemical. I'm going to show you a Thelosian after in a few minutes, but I want you to look at stuff like this. With our triple spiral restored, this is working spell. And then you ask, what can you do with that? You can do a lot of things. Case in point, I'll show you what the Thelosians do. Now, understand, this is a real SWAT sticker for humans, triple spiral DNA. The SWAT sticker the Nazi use is not even for humans. Okay? It's for people that are like the Vril and the Thelosians. Okay? They have 4-pole DNA. Now, they had a Thelosian here. They locked her and her son up in Pine Gap for 2.5 years. When the Council of 12 showed up, they forced her to be released. But if you look at what's on her, she's got Thelosian grade spell work right in her flesh. You can toss her just like that out on airlock. She won't die. She doesn't need to eat. She doesn't need to drink or breathe. And they can't physically damage her. There was really nothing she could do, they could do to her to damage her or her son. This is the group that's working with Putin. They're like the galactic black market specialists. You want something and you're willing to pay the right price, they'll get it for you because there ain't nobody that can damage them.
and so are they?
It's powered from the center of their DNA. Taps the dark energy of the universe. That's what keeps everybody's body together anyway.
Incredible. So good or bad, this particular being?
Neutral. I mean, really, they're black marketeers.
Okay.
They don't get involved in personal battles. But if you want some item, they're the ones, if you can meet their price, they can go get it. Guaranteed. Because there ain't nobody to really stop them if they want to go get something.
Well, I hope they don't know Soros. What about the New Zealand quake? Katie asked if that was cabal or if it was natural.
Cabal. That's, I mean, I was showing you the ships earlier that are parked over the thing, hitting that fault line with beam weapons.
Yeah.
That's also where, as well, just so you're aware, CERN is not, like I said, an individual particular system there. There's LHC and many of them. One of the ones they also had there was something called Karen Rianne's.
Yeah, the whole network.
The whole network was actually set there deliberately just to set to target actually Abby for a lot of this stuff. But that's part of the stuff too that's got to be taken down. You know, and these are the things that are keeping people, you know, there's a war for people's not just soul, it's for their minds.
Okay, first
You
of
know,
all,
the frequency.
here, the primary server, the backup server. This is a database of all the hybrids, clones, and hybridized humans on Earth. That's where they are. The two primary servers where all that data sits on planet. There's another network that's part of the CERN network, ties them all together on the eastern seaboard here, and ties the primary cyclotrons together. That's this one. That's where all the cyclotrons are on that are the primary network. Canada has a whole secondary network that they can patch it to if they can't, if too many of these go down. And then there's, like you said, the Karen network, which is because you can send either data stream to tie together from portal or data, but you can't do both over the same network. So this is new. The CERN Atlantic network is new. They were trying to run everything through the Karen network originally, and I mean they got little gold pins and everything for what level of the tree you are on that that part of the cabal. They think it's stupid with this stuff. Really, they do.
So, are there going to be any type of earth changes at all that people should?
Okay, I'm going to tell you this right now. Global warming is false. Does that mean that we don't have a problem? No. You need to understand what is actually going on. The reason why here's the Karen network, by the way.
Okay.
That's where it ties together. So you can see why they're hitting out here. That's
Yeah.
okay. Every place like Paducah, Kentucky that makes nuclear rounds, okay, they are exempt from the CFC law. So they dump about 800 tons apiece every year of CFCs into the atmosphere. We have no more ozone. Okay, we now have UV A, D, and C hitting the ground. That's what's cooking things, UVC.
Okay.
Also, with no ozone, you're letting more sunlight through, and all the rest of that. Plus, they chemtrailing the hell out of you, throwing aluminum, and our atmosphere is ridiculously radioactive, and there is no longer any connectivity between what comes to us from the sun and what's down on Earth. Average daily rads from space are 40. At worst, during a quarantine event, it gets to 400. Down on the planet, it's in the 7 to 11,000. Okay, from Fukushima and all the rest of it. It's just there is no connectivity, and there's a lot of lies about radioactivity to begin with. And I'm an NBC officer, okay, from the military. I know what I'm talking about because I was trained by these folks. So a lot of the stuff they tell you is just plain garbage. Again, little things.
So Fukushima's got to be kicking butt, though, right?
You got 5 cores in the ground that are unrecoverable. There's nothing you can do about it at this point. Way past the point of doing anything about it, other than blowing up what's on the surface and letting it turn into molten slag to try and get down and put a plug over the top of the cores that have gone way down into the Earth while still going boom.
Yeah.
Okay. First off, half-lives. They tell you what the half-life of an element is, right?
Mm-hmm.
They tell you the half-life of this part of the decay chain. They don't tell you about any of the rest of it. So when it decays from this to this, and then from that to that, and from that to that. And some of these are worse than the original. Alpha emitters and whatnot. And here's the other interesting fact. These half-life numbers only are valid when kept in isolation in a lab, period. There's no connectivity when it's out there in the wild. Case in point, They said the cesium from Chernobyl should be gone 25 to 30 years. Guess what? It hasn't gone down, it's gone up. And so the time on that has now been raised all the way up past 400 years, possibly, maybe, for the half-life of the cesium out there, because it's still going up.
Okay.
When you read things on meters, I'll have to give you a live one on that to show you the difference between what they give you is a meter will give you the mean, not the actual peaks of what the meter is reading. And there's a big difference between the two. There's so many frauds out there, so many fraudulent statements made by the nuclear cabal that they claim there's a safe amount of radioactivity. Guess what? There is no safe level of radioactivity. All radioactivity breaks your DNA. Point blank. Irradiation is the main cause of cancer.
Oh yeah, and that's what they want to give people to how to try to make them better. Is low radiation.
Well, do you know how that works? It kills your 21st chromosome. Now, most of your cancer is your 21st chromosome going out trying to do a repair with damaged data. It starts building wrong, and there's no way to shut it off. You've got cancer. If it's strontium, that goes on in your bones, and you have leukemia.
Yeah.
Well, we're running out of resources here. I gotta kill some of this.
Okay.
Or Lucy, too much going on.
And Corey is listening in our chat, one of our chats, I think YouTube, says, what did the guests, oh no, not that one, here it is. Are you training anybody to take your place for the future? Does some council appoint somebody? How does that work? Like, I guess, when you decide to check out or what have you.
I'm here until my job's done.
Okay.
So I'm not going anymore.
Well, good, because I won't want to have you back on.
Yeah, and that's basically what we're doing is we've got so many things that we have to get pushed through. It's not just for ourselves, but also for our children and our posterity. We've got the lands and the waters to try and heal. We've got facilities to try and develop that need to be prototyped or, again, replicated through different kinds of technologies. That it's incumbent upon us to actually clean it. We're not going anywhere. This is it. And there's such a thing as longevity technology. So, I mean, that's the type of thing that I do as a quantum medical practitioner is to help people get through that.
This is EQ dose
here right now.
per day. That's what you read in the meter. The meter will give you the red line as your EQ dose. Now let's go CPM.
Okay.
That's actual counts per minute. Some of them go as high as 60. The red line is what they're reporting on the meters. The red line is the mean. That's what the meter will tell you, not the actual.
And not the spikes that we see. They'll shut off, they'll spike up at night, and then they'll shut the meters off for days. Those people that do live up here, I mean, for Canada, technically, as they put it, they shut off almost all the radiation meters back in March of 2011. So unless we have the kind of technology, and for, being grateful to Pattie to be able to get some of the different...
Let me finish, Karen. So that we don't break the data up. I need them to understand it. Even if you have your own SOAKS meter,
yeah.
Okay, this is how it works. It does not give you the true data.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you the mean. That's it.
Okay.
And it does not give all the different types, the gamma 1, 2, 3, and through the beta and stuff for everyone.
Yeah,
too.
most of them will only read 2 of this. Some will read 3, but there are no meters that read all 4 times. No.
The amount of graphs that Pattie had to put together just to show someone so that you would actually be able to see and so that you would be able to understand actually what's happening is phenomenal.
Well, it seems like our planet is being transformed on us, like it's being set up for somebody else. Well, at least it has.
Their attempt is to get humans down to 2%, genetically modified to enslave them at the genetic level, that they can pull DNA, useful DNA out of when and as they want, and then use it as slaves for the rest of the time.
So this is why it's really, really imperative that people get into their own inner incenssion. They've got to be doing the cleaning, the parasite cleansing, the detox, because the more radiation that you have inside, the more you're decaying, the more you're aging, but basically you're rotting. Once you get rotting, just like in nature, you're going to see composting. And that literally is the viruses, the bacteria eating you from the inside out. And that's basically like having maggots. So people need to be cleaning out and alkalizing and getting their pH back to 7.4, looking at getting more of a sustainable type of food. Your raw foods and vegan type foods are basically more of an alkaline nature, which you can Google that. That's what I do. I spend half the time throwing litmus paper in front of my clients, making sure your urine and everything matches.
This is a massive database.
Yeah.
People can read through here and get up to speed on the truth about a lot of the stuff that's going on. It's called the Blue Planet Project. They used to have a video it was on TV for 4 nights on Discovery Channel late at night when anybody important wouldn't be sitting there watching it. And then they put it on Netflix for a while, and I just went and looked because I watched it there on Netflix. They actually removed it from Netflix. But this will bring you up to speed on a lot of the facts about the invisible government, the secret space program, black projects groups, all of it.
And part of what's going on is getting people healthy in their mind first, because part of it, as we start raising our vibration, we're not going to be able to see the abuse. And it's really for the women to start stepping into their powers and getting educated. This is why we're seeing those pedophile rings and stuff that happen. And I don't want to see any other mother or child or any man or any little boy go through what we went through. It's really, really imperative. I know people are talking about the Pizzagate thing that's coming up. And, the ice cream thing and the codes that were in WikiLeaks and stuff. Those pedophile rings and satanic night circles are going on. And that's part of why we're up here stopping that, because that's part of the transportation. And we're seeing some of these chemtrail planes, not all of them necessarily just doing chemtrails. There's a lot of transportation, and they transport these children from base to base. And that's part of things that Corey was talking about, or Troy Smith and stuff before his demise, and Max Spears from the Basis Project, which Patty and I were both part of. We need to be able to get into a place that the children are healthy, the parents are healthy, and that we're all doing something and getting back into balance with nature. And that means looking at the food and starting to love yourself first, right? I mean, how can you love someone else if you don't love yourself? I always come back to that. It's got to be the best food, the best water, essential oils, and get clean. Because everything you're doing is transmitting. And from that macro to the micro, you've got to make your heaven on earth. This has got to be the sacred temple. What you hear, what you see, what you talk, even how we, communicate with each other. It's got to be uplifting and kind. And if that's not there, don't say anything. Because there's too much stuff going around here. And
let me add to one thing, okay? Humans, at the genetic level, it doesn't matter. All of the 12 prototypes inclusive, the difference between them is 0.002%. That's it. There is only one race of humans. I don't care what color skin they got. It's irrelevant.
Okay. All right.
That's divide and conquer. That's what that is.
Well, yeah.
All the time.
Absolutely. So what are we looking at right now?
That's another satellite-looking side view of Earth. I use this to see when the big battleships, planets come in to do smackdowns on them.
Now, let me tell you, I have seen with my own eyes, my wife and I one night about 4 years ago, seen this huge craft that went over our heads. And this thing, it looked like 4 giant tubes but it was, the light stood within it. It didn't reflect down on us. It had, it was orange, and it just looked incredible. It was really big, and it looked like it was all energy. But I mean, it was at first it looked like 4 tubes,
Right.
but it wasn't. It was all one craft. It was just dark in the centers, And this thing, it went through like it was nobody's business, went right over our heads. And I mean, I was like a kid on Christmas. I was jumping around like I just got my favorite toy, because you don't get to see these things every day. I mean, this was in the city of Columbia here in South Carolina, and I was right after a show I did with Robert Stanley, and we were talking about UFOs and the lightning storms. I come outside, and there it is. It's across. If I didn't look up, I would have never seen it. I mean, it was no noise, no light shining down, but it was bright. When you looked up at it, it was bright as can be.
It's some of the big ones. That's an Arcturian. That's about 50 miles across the sun. That's one of their small ones. Yeah. This is what it looks like from the ground when it comes in the atmosphere.
And Michael, I could relate to what you're saying. I spent the summer up at what they call a Takakoop. It's one of the Cree reserves just about 2 hours north of here. And literally, when I was living up there, I probably talked to about 30, 40 people. And I bet you there was only one individual that didn't have a UFO or abduction story. It was so imperative when I was up there. This is what people don't realize. You're going to see a little bit of it coming forth just with the Dakotas bringing that forward. But in that, basic we had an Ogopogo, we had a Yeti, like a Sasquatch up there, the Loch Ness Monster. I had a cattle mutilation 1,000 feet from where I was staying at my trailer. We had UFOs going in and out. So I saw 3, 4, again, space vehicles moving back and forth as fast as you could, shooting at each other. And that's what actually, the children came up and they said, Karen, you gotta come see, they're like shooting at each other again. And I looked up and I'm like, oh yeah, because I've been watching this for years with Pattie, but to see it up and you're going, it's happening. It's happening at Atakakup, which by the way translates to star blanket, the Star Nations. So I get up there and people were coming in and out of the reserves, friends of mine, and I'm like, oh, this is happening. There were reports of grays, there were reports of ghosts, and then I found that they were putting these unholy deceptive towers that look like, they're crucifixes blinking to the heart towers and the Glen towers all around. And only when I'm on radio, and just to let you know, I'm always a little cautious when I go up these days, because I was on Jimmy Church's Fade to Black, and he's, again, the co-host of, Coast to Coast with George Norrie, and honest to gosh, it was just bizarre, because within an hour of going on, all of a sudden where I was staying with some friends that are, off the Red Tribes, and we were, they're the scouts out there, they invited me up. All of a sudden this couple walks into the kitchen and sits down, and they tell me they're being abducted. I'm going, what kind of a night is this? I'm on this radio show talking about abductions and stuff with, Jimmy Church, and they walk in. And it was Sylvia McAdams' parents, and she's actually a lawyer with Ida Lamore, that they're trying to keep this as Treaty 6 area, the female Illuminati, that are actually the Queen's Illuminati women that need to get removed and arrested. So one of the things, too, is that they were coming in, and I felt her. She told me she'd been being abducted, her and her husband. They all had stories. And the funny thing is, I was starting to feel like the bestial virgin, because they would take me to this little hillside. I found out later from Barry Henneke, that was the former chief up there, and again, that's like talking to the, the Dawn, the mob too, right? You gotta remember, a lot of these people are Irish Native. They're not tribal, and they're not Indians, right? So do not be fooled by the color of someone's skin, is all I have to tell you.
Here's one of the things they hate when I put this kind of data out. Here's our sun, there's a blue Kachina. All these green ones, these are either ships or exoplanets in our system. There's 397 at the last count. Now, bear in mind, this is 3 groups. You have the Council of 12, you have the Sphere Being Alliance, you have the Council of 5, who are de facto the Galactic Cops, and then you have the non-aligned, like the Civil Legion, who are working with me. So it's anybody's guess where a craft of the one you described came from.
Sure.
It doesn't sound offhand like it's anybody from the Council of 12 or the Silver Legion.
Well, we've seen a triangle too. Just last year.
Triangles are ours.
They are.
It's Cabal.
Okay. Well, it was up there and it was hovering around, and I took pictures of it, and it never even showed up on the photos.
Really?
Yeah.
That's unusual. We've got 6 different types of them, of the triangles. The TR 3B Astra is this one here. The TR4 Aurora is the one that does the runs up to the space station. The Sublime, since they shut down the shuttle program. There's a Series 5. That's the one that's got the 2 little tails on the back. That one can jump interdimensionally. That's the one that lights up and then just winks out.
Okay.
I got video of that. And then you have two different editions. They call the Galactic Freedom Edition. This is the first big one. It's pretty huge. And there's a bigger edition than this too now. That's like a small city.
And that's about the size it probably had to have been, based on where, how far up the lights were and such. I mean, if it came down close, I would imagine it'd be about that big.
Yeah. So yeah, and this is the stuff that's in Skunk Works right now. And Phil Schneider did not kill himself. Here's the autopsy photo, okay?
Oh.
And he was burned with lasers and everything. Yeah.
Holy cow.
They murdered him.
Well, I gotta say, this is the first time I've seen anything like that. And I don't know, if how many times people have seen or gotten any of this information, but I'll tell you what, that right there was a first for me. So there he is.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why they burned his body. They didn't want anybody recording the actual facts of that.
Can I ask how you were able to snaggle that? Satellites? No. Something else, or none of my business.
No, I can't talk about how I got that.
Okay.
Some things are national security.
I got you, but I at least have to try.
Here's one of our anti-gravity type crafts. This actually is at a prototype field in Japan. So, I mean, yeah, we have a lot of different stuff. This is our reverse engineered edition. And this is how you can tell the difference between ours and theirs. You won't see these on the bottom of theirs.
Oh, okay. Now, why do we?
There's a nice and smooth. The solid ray grays are the ones that turned over this technology both to the Nazis originally and to the Cabals, at a later point. And theirs are smooth underneath. You see none of this.
How come we have those? Why do we have those pieces?
You got to understand these are controlled by mind. There's no physical controls. And you got to understand how much older these other races are than us and how much better their mind control is. And there's only certain humans that, the whole point behind the secret space program and the super soldiers was those super soldiers are not in their original bodies. They're in hybridized bodies that have been hybridized with ETs to increase the ability of the brains developed in them to control craft. But even so, we need more thrusters and everything just to have these things not just wobble all over the damn place under human control. Matter of fact, they have a whole test field where they train pilots to drive these things with their minds. This is Area 24. It's the only way you can get a flight from there is from Area 51. It's almost a couple hundred miles north of Area 51. And this is a track where they run those craft through, and they make them learn how to drive them.
Yeah.
And there's bunkers here with elevators that go down to, there's a whole base under here. So, yeah.
I'm definitely going to keep an eye on your YouTube channel, that's for sure, because this is some good stuff right here. And wow, and again, I'm going to put all these links in the archive for everybody, and at my YouTube channel for everyone. So they can.
These get me really upset. They call this the Artemis. These are armed drones with an EMF drive, and the central computer is half computer and half a child's brain with the prefrontal cortex removed, merged together.
A child,
brain. This is what they're doing with the children they steal.
And you got to remember, these are the kind of drones that they're using over our people, especially to all the tribes that are collecting, even at Standing Rock at the Dakotas right now.
Yeah, they're armed. They give them what they want to hit. The thing goes out and it'll stay out until it hits the target. There is no human in the loop. There is no discernment, right or wrong, on what they're hitting.
So they're using children's brains. Now, how come they don't just grow them in the lab, or are they getting to that point?
They tried that. Again, the fake ETs, the fake little grays that were, piloting the craft to do the fake ET invasion. They found they can't really. They still need an overriding signal to do anything. The independence isn't there. You can't give them a job, send them out, and have them just do it. Their cybernated systems just aren't that good. They don't work.
All right. And our space shuttle, somebody asks, what happened to our shuttle? Let's see here. What happened to the shuttle that was beat up on the way in?
It wasn't on the way in. It was way out by the space station. And although it said Columbia on the outside, it wasn't. It was Atlantis. Columbia was on the pad B on the ground with Atlantis written on the side of it.
See.
That's why the discrepancy with the NASA symbol on the port side rear, only Atlantis has that. And the other issue was only Atlantis had the EDO packet and the Canada arm. Okay.
All right.
That's the only shuttle that could be. But I mean, most people only think we have 6 shuttles. We got 14.
14 shuttles. And I know that
I wrote up and said Endeavor on the side when I went up on it, although it only had seating 3 in the pilot compartment, and I happen to know that the real Endeavor, which is a 6-seater, was doing its turnaround maintenance out in California at the time.
And he says, what happened? What actually happened to the shuttle? So is it
okay? The reason why that had a weird takeoff pattern and went to the northeast, it had a weapon in the bay. They were fixing to do a attack on Russia's ET prison.
Okay.
And the coincidental thing is, after they beat the crap out of that shuttle, the weapon wasn't in the bay anymore. So they took the weapon too.
All right. Well, listen, we'll probably do about another 10 minutes here. And so I want to make sure anything that you both want to get out, the floor is yours, and go right ahead. And I look forward to doing this again in the future, and I'm certainly going to keep my eyes on your channel, because this is information I've not seen before. Yeah, I've heard about some of this stuff, but to see it with your own eyes is a lot different.
Yes, I mean, there's so many things. I mean, I could go way back to, before how Gaia came about. Gaia was actually on Eve's first classroom planet, but Gaia being triple spiral, high energy, saltwater biology like us at level 5, she stepped off her planet outside the time stream to go have a conversation with her mother creator, Eve. And while that went on, Eve's original planet got destroyed, because that race was entirely unaffected by the fractal virus, unaffected by the plasma AI and the binary control matrix. So that is what the Red Katrina was designed to destroy races like that before they could graduate to space. That's why Eve learned thereafter, if she went into her planet, it cannot be destroyed. That's why Eve went into Eden and prevented its destruction. They tried to eliminate the Alvin and the Pixie Fae, and they couldn't. And Eve was in the planet, so they couldn't destroy the planet. So they had to move it dimensionally out. That's why Gaia, the goddess who created humans, is in this planet and cannot come out. Because this planet would then be destroyed, including everybody on it.
I see.
There's reasons for this.
Yeah. All right.
Saturn is Satan. The mutants that go down on the moon, he calls himself the One. And he claims to the assembled councils up there that what he does is beneficial for humans, because without knowing evil, they can't know what's good. That's his excuse for what he does. But the entire Christian religion is based on worshiping him and his followers. And it's a death cult.
So,
I hear that, but
will there be a full worldwide disclosure at some point, or is it just going to be, those of us who know?
what I have in mind, I will sooner or later, one way or the other, bring it about. There is a complete recording in the Busegi Mountain Complex, which is one of the 4 control rooms. Currently, it has a crew of Dracos camped out on top of it. Not the Dracos themselves can't go in. It's got protective, force fields over the doorways. If you're not 5th level energy and high frequency, you can't get in. You can look, but you can't walk through because it'll kill you. That's what the whole Keshi program was about. Was basically those Keshi devices were scalar wave devices. You needed somebody who was empowered already, 5th level capable, to power those devices up. That was one of the 3. Everything they do has 3 purposes. That was one of the purposes of the Keshi project. Those pens that they had everybody making, they wanted to put those in the pockets of all the soldiers so they could, because they were mind control receivers.
And that was one of the things actually that almost about 8 months ago that I helped write. That was some of the stuff I was talking with one of the women that was over there initially, Susan Alexander. And that was some of the stuff we were involved with the, we believe to be cloned former Sergeant Daniel McBullen III. But that thing that Keshi was doing, that was such a mind control. And that basically would have attracted all the dead or negative energy to people and basically tried to wipe out everyone. And that was one of the things I found when we were experimenting and playing with the pens at the time.
Okay.
You have to be very careful with what they're doing here.
If you're going to tap what they call the dark energy or Orgone energy or whatever term you want to put on it, the free energy that makes up 76% of space, takes 3 frequencies. Okay?
Yeah, they don't have it.
Keshi only deals with 2.
And one of the
It's you as the power source, the 3rd.
Yeah, and the thing too is that we have to be very careful what we're doing. When people are trying to, take some of our information and use it for negative purposes, it always backfires on them. So, these people have been exposed, over the last 8 months by a lot of stuff that Patty and I have been doing. It's no different than I just looked at actually right now. I just posted was at the DARPA drill at the Dakotas. They're actually doing drills that the drones caught last night at 3 a.m. But it's no different that we've got sacred sites here at Saskatoon at Wanuskewin. I don't know if you know, but we got actually the 2nd largest medicine wheel on this continent. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
You want to talk about cosmic energy and where the peace is and where they brought everyone through, including Sitting Bull back then when there was times of war, calamity, and martial law was up here. So just to let you know, we just met with a bunch of people that thought they are supposedly architects here, Gary Marvin and Harold Orr and stuff, and they want to start building back on our tribal sites at Wanuskewin and just north of there before Cathedral Bluffs. And we were able to find the original people that did Stonehenge, did our area here. These things are not going to happen.
Yeah, these people don't know how to build right. Here's for instance, the New World Order's group. This is their the hypersonic drive that they put in their space-capable fighters. They've also retrofitted this sort of thing into the shuttles that they don't even acknowledge having, that don't need boosters or a tank or anything. They can take off like an airplane. Here's the thing, they use 2 frequencies, not 3. And then they have to feed it selenium, which is a pollutant, to work. The low frequency ET types, the level 3 and 4 density ETs can't take the frequency. They can't. So they can't use the drives the way they would work without fuel.
So they can't, so certain frequencies work kind of like right on a bug for these guys.
Yeah. Or what would be more apt analogy is those electric speaker little things that you plug them into your outlet in your kitchen and stuff. It drives off the ants and the other bugs and stuff like that because they can't stand it. Yeah.
Oh,
It's like that.
Nice to know. I have to get a few of those.
If you actually get those, if you're having adoption things, get those things that are you plug in your outlet to drive bugs away because they drive away ETs too.
That's amazing. It is. I don't think I've ever been abducted. I don't know, but I know people who have.
Here's the scale. Anything 250 or below, that's what they feed off of. Anything above that, they can't take it. It's that simple.
I see.
And that's like the David Hawkins power versus force, or the levels of consciousness, call it whatever we like. But that's also too the codes of the essential oils. So when I'm talking about, let's say, using certain essential oils like spruce, black spruce, it comes in at 580 hertz. Rose comes in at 320. Your frankincense, your myrrh, all raise you above. All the vibrations of, if you want to say archonic, or again, as a colon hydrotherapist, how do you want to decolonize or come off the system? You need to make sure that colon's clean of all those different viruses, bacteria, and archonic attachments. And that's where your cancer hangs out, is at 46 hertz. It keeps you in the lower chakras.
If you do a Kirlian photograph, you can see what frequencies visually you're at.
And that's what I do on the scale biofeedback that I do, or we have indigos or e-doctors. And that's what I can do one-on-one with people in sessions for healing, because we can actually look at the gas visualization or the Kirlian photography or your aura scan or your chakra scan, or I can do 9,000 other different frequency tests. It's unlimited. We can actually look at your blood and see what's in it without having to draw it. I think that's very cool as a nurse. I don't have to touch blood anymore.
That is cool. That's incredibly cool, as a matter of fact.
I give enemas and coffee enemas instead. Actually, the coffee essential oil, actually I was going to say, we've got, just came out, and actually we have a new cannabis essential oil that just came out at Eden's Gardens, actually.com, last 2 weeks.
This is what the network and the cell phone network and the high-speed wireless network access. This is what it does.
Yeah.
And this is the drowned-out Gaia signal.
This is why people need to get out of the city
Your body frequency.
and get grounded.
Cities are the worst. I mean, really. Cities are depressing, even if you don't have issues, medical or psychological. Just putting you in a city lowers your frequency, period.
And that's why we're camping. That's why there's a lot of stuff here. We have lakes here that have got so much salt that you can't actually sink, like at Manitou, which means Creator's Lake. But this is really imperative. That's why I have everyone on doing salt water and saline flushes and baking soda every starting off their day like that. Because you need to get grounded. And here, for example, there's so many smart meters. I mean, just to get a smart meter cover, you can get a little bit of mesh screen and put it with 2 C-clamps, and bang, you're done, and get a copper wire and take it right down to the ground.
This guy's frequency. It's been on the rise right along the Schumann frequency. So I mean, we weren't getting there fast enough, and they were putting shields up to block. You know what they keep seeing on the event. You know, people like Corey Good and Cobra and whatnot. They talk about the event. Guess what? That event came down February 2nd, 2012. They put a shield up to block it, so people wouldn't wake up.
Oh, it worked for a while, didn't it?
No, they had already put the shield up to block it.
Well, So they blocked it. So, but people didn't wake up, right? I mean, because I know 2012, I kept hearing, "Oh, everybody's gonna wake up. It's going to be an ascension." It was really none of that.
There it is.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, so that whole thing has been a agreed upon program to delay for 10 years to get humans down to 2% left.
Not on my watch.
When you look out there to Soho, if the planets do not have vertical poles, they're not planets that are a part of the solstice. They're other bodies, and there's a lot of them out there. So this, okay, that's not one of ours. Matter of fact, that was a blue Kachina.
Okay, it was.
Anything that doesn't have a vertical pole is not one of the planets from here.
And one of the things too people can go look at when we're talking about the blue Kachina, go look up the prophecy. It is called the blue Kachina. There's the grandmother's one, there's white calf buffalo woman, all the stuff we're talking about, the Hopi Mayan prophecy rock, that ties into it. And again, it's how people are perceiving what's going around them. And so we've got it shut down now. And that's why
Well, the blue Kachina is still out there and it's still helping. This is the red Kachina. That's what it looks like when it's lit up. This is what it looks like now, since we boarded it and shut it down. And I've seen from the space station. It's pretty much dead. And they're in there exterminating that red plasma virus that was running in.
Well, there's so much going on over our heads, and we, the average person just has no idea at all. A true matrix, is it not?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's why there is such a grid around the planet in a way,
I mean, I've shut down the worst of it, but there's other feed sources other than Saturn, so I've just taken one of them, and again, I talked with the folks upstairs today, and there's other things in the works, which we're trying to deal with some other issues. Which, because they're tactical, I can't get into them until well after it's over with.
All right. Well, listen, I would love to periodically get updates, and certainly I'll be more than happy to promote your links, your YouTube, and all that, where you're at, and I would love to get updates occasionally from the both of you on all these good things that are happening. I mean, this is incredible stuff. I mean, it really is.
Pixie Fays are real, Elvins are real, and
angels.
Yeah, angels are people who lost their body but felt they're not done here, and they're pulling down from energy from their uplink to manifest here.
So if people think they're seeing little fairies and things like that, they may actually...
They're real. Here's the thing. Does anybody know the truth behind the story behind the Tooth Fairy?
I knew you were
I've heard some things, but I have a feeling you've got it down.
It's really gruesome. The Tooth Fairies are actually biogenetic nanotech creation by the Dracos that are made to latch onto the back of a real fairy and dissolve them.
It almost looks like what Steve Bassett claimed to have found something.
Steve's amazing.
When the last part of the fairy that exists undissolved is its jaw and stuck to their face, and that's where they got the name, the Tooth Fairy.
Well, not
them, 2 wings.
Greer. Yeah.
Stephen Greer.
Yeah, I think, didn't he claim to have found some little alien or something at one time?
We've got all the remains. We've got photos and video of live ones. They still exist.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. And is all this stuff, these videos and things on your YouTube? Is that where we can?
Some of them are, and some of them I put links to. And here's a real dragon.
And the clan mother ring down there too.
That's a baby dragon. That's a 1-year-old female baby dragon. You know, they have 2 lungs, and part of what they eat inflates the gas that makes them light in the air because the wings are not enough to lift them off. Here's the interesting thing. That gas also is vented out the top of the upper part of their jaw. They chew platinum in stone, and the platinum is a catalyst that ignites that gas. So if they use their gas as a weapon too much, they can't fly until they eat again.
Ah.
to make them light up in there. It's a unique thing. The big mother is too big to even get out of the cave. The last one. And she killed a whole group of knights and everything up there. Knights Templar with the, the Red Cross on their freaking armor and all that. Yeah, she toasted them because she came in right after they killed her daughter. And they got a whole egg that has a male one that the father deliberately let get cold so it wouldn't mature. And it's not dead, but it's not alive either, and it can't be forwarded. I mean, the original clan mothers, this is another thing, this is a lot of stuff that's under the ocean. Original clan mother circle with the 13 clan mothers and the 13 tribe mothers. That circle of this statues, all linked together by a gold belt, still exists under the ocean. All the original rulers of the planet Earth, and they were all female. I've got it in here somewhere. Is it in here? No, it's in my Atlanta stuff.
Actually, I just saw it just as you were looking at the tooth fairy. It's just on the back page.
My eye keeps catching that little pig guy. What's
That's an offspring hybrid human, and the group we call the trolls that live under the earth. Coincidentally, their genetics when they have sex with human females are the ones that are causing the worst grade of autism, which is the one that is the odd number chromosome, because their genetics intermixed with humans is causing the fusion that was done by the Anunnaki to bring us from 48 down to 46 to uncouple, giving you 47 chromosomes.
If that's not giving you great incentives to start looking at raw food vegan and like stuff like Marcus Rothkranz or what we're doing in Nouveau Raw, start thinking of that, because this is what's intermixed in the animals. This is the Chimera Project, this is the Human Genome Project, and this is what's being put into your vaccines and into your genetically modified species. That's what you're turning into on a cellular level.
There's the statues of the original rulers of Earth. All of them. Tribes and clans.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'll tell you, it's a lot to soak up. I'm glad this is all on video. And
That's what we got Andrew for at projectincension, and that's why I'm starting up again too with Barb Charles down at Charleston. But we've got Pyramid One Network starting up radio, and we'll be on Thursday night starting again next week, the 24th, and we're going to be on from 8 p.m. Eastern to 9. So we'll be doing this and filming as well.
Pixie fairies. Here's another interesting tidbit of information. Pixie fairies are 98.76% match genetically to humans. That's that close.
Remember, you're related to everything that's got a consciousness and a heartbeat. Somewhere in there, there's genetics.
so I got a question here kind of from the chat. Now, we've got a guy, a friend of ours, Ira, and he has an autistic son. And
Right.
he said he's not an alien, so how does that happen? I mean, is DNA being put in the vaccines, or
Yes.
is it?
Most of them nowadays are vaccine issues.
Vaccine-related injuries. And so what we need to do is, that's one of the specialties I do as well with addictions and other things. But the essential oils like frankincense and myrrh actually really help cross the blood-brain barrier because of their frequencies in the ormus and start doing some of the repair, as well as some of the stuff I have on the biofeedback. We've had a lot of great success with autism and that type of thing.
Hormone manipulation is the actual programs. You know what I mean? And what part they get.
We got
And,
the,
yeah. And I mean, even their, it doesn't stop with just that. If you read the last line here, program cell death.
Yeah.
Some of people, they've got a spray now. It's like a Banaka breath spray. They can spray it at you, you'll inhale it, and 4 days later you died of cancer, even though you didn't have any cancer before that.
and one of the things, if you're doing stuff preventive, like one of the guys actually I've been assisting up here too, he was stage 4 cancer, prostate, basically told to go home and, do his will. I said, just give me a couple weeks in the kitchen, that's all it's going to take. And right now, the prostate or the PSA levels went down from roughly about 16 down to about 6. It doesn't take that long when you know what you're doing. And it's the same thing with autism. You know, again,
You're trying to rebuild their third spiral. If you rebuild your third spiral, your second pole is like your maintenance department, and the 21st chromosome on that only has library 17 through 20, which is your as-built in the womb forward to work with when it does repairs. Now, some of those phases of you being built in the womb aren't exactly human. That's why you have scar tissue. Your third pole is your engineering department. Now, once you have your third pole back, poles 1 and 2 store all the information for both your parents and their parents, locked up in the phosphorus. And you can't access that without your third pole. Put your third pole back, you can regrow whole entire limbs that have been chopped off.
which is why it's so imperative people start getting the right water, the H3O2. They get alkaline, and you know, whether people call it the cancer cure, call it whatever you want. Something as simple as baking soda mixed with molasses or maple syrup or coconut syrup. I'm getting everyone on the tree stuff with my clients because that's about the only thing that's safe. Those people are up there. We have something called Bulk Barn, which is amazing. And I mean, we've got like actually raw organic superfoods in bulk now. You can just get per weight. The idea would be great that we're all being gardeners and they're all being self-sustainable. But right now, because of the radiation, we need to be looking at stuff that is basically off of a tree. And that's got to go below the radiation level, like, 15, 20 feet. So you can pick up the spring water, the ormus. So that means that's left with what? Apples, oranges, goji berries, fruits, basically a fruitarian almost. And that goes with the essential oils as well. Frankincense, myrrh, sandalwood, cedarwood, pine, fir, birch gets into the bones. It's stopping the, radiation a little bit. It's getting back our memories.
Basically, it's rebuild your inboard repair system. Then you don't worry about anything else. This is a double-strand DNA, and this is how it looks. You add the third pole, it scrunches up like this, and it's 12. The connections raise to the power of 12 because DNA is actually meant to connect 3 ways, not 2.
Yeah. I like the TP teaching. You got to get the first 3 poles down properly.
That's the important thing. The off spin, the off of the stack going up. It's the same thing. Everything goes back to water. That's a single molecule of water. The offset's 104.45 degrees. It's the same offset of the Milky Way in its warp drive. I mean, this ties into so many things. Everything, hydrogen is one of the major components and one of the major frequencies of all creation at this level in all of Laniakea in its entirety.
And from the kitchen point of view, that's why we don't take anything over 105 to 15 degrees. That's why the raw food is. We still have hot pizza, hot soups, hot chocolate, hot lasagnas, everything. But we just don't do anything over 115 degrees as opposed to 350. That's what dehydrators are for.
Okay, if you use the microwaves, anything you cook on high more than 2 minutes has 0 nutritional value. Stop using microwaves because they basically ruin any food you put in them for more than 2 minutes.
And read a label. We got superfoods, and basically those labels, if you're not getting superfoods, don't know your gardeners, and it's not what we call wild or hereditary like I am. It's like having virgin food, have virgin water, and then look at the label. Even 9 has got a number sticker. Don't take anything below that.
So basically, a lot of this technology that's given to us, your cell phones, your microwave ovens, and things like that, what a great plan, right? Everybody, hey, here's some great new items for you. And when people run out to get it, they got to have it.
Okay, here's the difference. Remember radar ranges?
Yeah.
What was the major difference between a radar range and a microwave? You could put metal in everything in a radar range, couldn't you?
Yeah.
It cooked in a very similar way, but guess what? Radar ranges didn't damage the food. Microwaves kill the food and glaze it and make it into basically a coated thing that your body can't even break down at all, and it's just roughage that just goes through, does nothing.
And then because of the chemtrails and those chemicals that are in there, it basically coats your, whatever you say, gastrointestinal tube or your tube for 33 feet, but it coats it up so it doesn't matter. You could drink, water and you're not going to absorb it. You're going to take food in, not absorb the nutrition. And the only thing that soaks it off properly is salt and water through enemas, whether people like it or not. They're going to have to get over being anal retentive.
That's another issue too.
That's what was in the Essene Gospel of Peace, for God's sake.
Anybody that's had any kind of hospital procedure where they either have you drink that chalk or they put something in your bloodstream or whatnot, guess what? That stuff kills off the natural biota in your digestive tract that you now need to replace.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Doesn't matter if you're eating the right thing. If you don't have any of that, you're not taking it up into your body.
Yeah. Mhm. Well, listen, we've got to kind of get to the end here just a little bit. I mean, we could keep going and going and going. I'm sure all the listeners will love for us to keep doing that. But I want to thank Ira too and Joe for allowing us to go an hour over into their time slot. Thank you.
Thank you.
But yeah, so but I'd like to give you the floor. Anything you want to get out there, or links or sites or any of that stuff, go right ahead. And I want to thank you so much for being here tonight. This has been very educational, and I'll definitely be watching this again myself. But yeah, thank you. But go ahead, floor all yours, and I can't thank you enough.
I'd just like to thank you, Michael, for doing this collaboration of Late Night in the Midlands with Project Incenssion to get this information out on both radio and video. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you.
Doing it again, too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna say one thing. Don't believe anything I say. Okay? No, I mean it.
No,
Because guess what?
we don't know.
Me telling you what all this stuff is helps you not much at all.
So you learn it
You
yourself.
have to go out there. Everybody's life is their own, and their journey through this life is their own. If they don't put in the work to learn this stuff, it's not going to benefit them. Just having somebody tell them everything. This is a kick in the pants to get these other people out there to wake up themselves and put the work in and learn.
Yeah.
The data's out there.
Well, it definitely is, and it's good people like you getting it out there. So thank you.
Well, and one of the things too, I just wanted to say, I was just looking at the chat room again. I've got entire stuff done on all the different procedures I do. Okay, because I'm seeing people, still clients, people who've got people that are ill, they've got illnesses themselves, they've got lots of questions, so they want, what you call it, psychic readings, medical intuitive, remote viewing. There probably isn't anything you don't do that way. I do have the technology behind, because most people do want to see, where they're sitting at, or they might want to be interested in these scale machines or different things that we can do. But enemas, or what it comes down to, it's always about the water. And so I really encourage people to do that at Project Incenssion. I think we've got out of 40-some videos, probably about half of them are in health, a lot in colon hydrotherapy. The coffee, I don't use it per se that often, and I was talking about, I have coffee essential oil or aromatherapy actually. And the reason why is that I find that most people are very acidic, and that we need to go with baking soda and Epsom salt and borax in there, bentonite clay, diatomaceous earth, and I have lots of essential oils that go into my enemas and colonic machines.
Or even maple syrup. As long as it's real stuff.
Cleanser.
Not the chemical created stuff, but real stuff.
Yeah, we've got grade A, B, and C and stuff. So Master Cleanser, we get people on and get them on Soleil, which is Himalayan. I use a combination of black salt, Himalayan salt, and Celtic sea salt. So a tri-salt, and doing that. So again, if people want to get a hold of me, there's Facebook, Karen MacDonald, Karen Ann MacDonald, Karen Lucyk MacDonald, and Clan Mother 13, and of course Project Incenssion, and we'll be at Pyramid One Radio, and that's Pyramid One Network, and they'll be Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern with Bob Charles. And thank you so much for the invitation again, and for Ben and Michael facilitating this.
This will be the next show. Solutions, because we've designed enclaves and living habitats, steps, and everything else.
This is where people
we're going forward. We don't just
to the doom and gloom and what happened. And, yeah, we do have solutions and stuff moving forward.
This is the kind of enclaves you want to look at. This is what we're looking at that will help repair the DNA. This is very specific with different crystals and different structures in there.
No, they had just built it to the bottom of them.
We know how to do it.
You know.
Done it once before, we'll do it again.
Well, we love solutions, and I'm looking forward to that one. So thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to educate my listeners and everybody else who is listening. I thank you very much, and well, I guess that's it. This will be available for everybody, and we got to do this again, definitely.
Oh, it's been a blessing.
All right.
Well, I'm happy to.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.